ago, but I think today he's not in that murder trial.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
Now, if he's anything that can interfere with or affect the prosecution of any other case, I just don't know what they're doing in Massachusetts. They've lost their ever-loving minds. Let's say Proctor did nothing wrong. What's going to happen the next time he gets on the witness stand? What are they going to bring up? They're going to bring up the case he's on, or are they going to bring up all this? Of course,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
going to bring all this up. I mean, if you're a prosecutor, you're a fool. You're calling artillery on your own position. Like, here's my grid, and dump your load here. I'll take it.
All right, sorry.
Yeah. Did you see NBC 10? They caught up with Michael Proctor right after the verdict. They caught Michael Proctor pulling into his house, followed him home, and it looked a little something like this.
For Proctor, Kathy Curran from NBC 10. We'd like to ask you some questions. Do you think your actions impacted the outcome of the trial? I'm not on your lawn. I'm on the street. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
I fully support my husband. Karen Reed is a murderer.
You support your husband?
And you heard it there. His wife fully supports him and called Karen Reed a murderer. Testimony in the case showed Proctor was familiar with witnesses in this case. We reached out to state police about Proctor's current status with the department. They told us he's still employed and had no further comment at this time.
He's still getting a paycheck. We have nothing more to say. What does old Jay Goodman say? What do you believe the jury count was for against? Was there one or more that couldn't make up their mind for not guilty? Do we know what? Did they poll the jury? They may not make that. They don't have to make that public, by the way, on a hung jury. But we know if they polled it?
Yet. Nothing yet.
I've heard some people say that they knew the poll, but I wouldn't know who would be credible enough to say it was true.
Well, it's actually a proceeding that happens in the courtroom. The judge will will poll the jury, call them one by one. What was their vote? Now that is for when there's a guilty or a verdict. They'll do that, and that's public record. It doesn't have to be public. They can do it in some states, but it doesn't have to be public record if it's a hung jury. And I may have already talked about this. I'm coming in late, but what's everybody's opinion? What does the state do now? Does the state go back and get a reindict Karen Reed and let's run at this again? Does the state have a case?
That's what the state said they were going to do.
Yeah, that's what they're going to, but I don't see how.
Well, let me go back and say the state always says that on the courthouse steps after a hung jury. Just letting you know, they always say that.
Yeah,
they'll go back and look at and review what they've got and come up with a reasonable answer as to what they'll do. But what do y'all think they should do?
I don't think they will. After knowing what evidence and how this trial went, I don't think they will.
I think they should drop the case entirely and open a new investigation, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I think you just do what you did. You say, we're going to retry it. That way you don't have to make any statements about it. And you drag that shit on as long as you can. And hopefully those reporters go home and start covering the election or just anything but this trial. And hopefully it cools off a little bit.
Well, if
come back and say later on.
Yeah, they have to be back in July, don't they?
Evidence.
No, the July one, it's July 21st is the next time that they're going to be back in court, and that's just going to be like, okay, where are we at? You want to continue with it? What does everyone's schedule look like? And Michael, what am I trying to say? The beep just messed me up. But they're going to say Alan Jackson, say he's not going to be there for that. He's going to be reporting off of a Zoom, and they're just going to try to merge everyone's schedule, and they're just going to prolong this one at least to the fall. They think at least no sooner than October if they said, let's go ahead right away. But there's no way that you bring it to the trial. But a question would be, you wouldn't do the same trial and interview all those people. Like, what'd you think about Aruba? It would be like half the length, at least as far as the state. Like all this little bullshit that doesn't matter. Stick to the facts. I think if you tried it again, it'd be way faster.
Well, there is an advantage to the state and the defense on a hung jury. You got an exposure to what the other side's going to bring to bear. They may focus the prosecution more to try to defeat the expert witnesses or what they think was the real problem with their case. Either clean that up, not put it in, or handle it different. Now there's been cases where people have gone back. I think I'm trying to go back to some famous ones. What's the pudding guy?
Bill Cosby.
I think Bill Cosby was a hung jury that come back in
Hey,
second time.
range minded. What is that, dude?
Oh, can you hear me? Sorry.
I keep
I thought my mic
hearing
was
a
off.
beep.
You have notifications.
No,
I
hey,
just-
it's
just turned
happening
on my
over at Range
computer.
Minded podcast.
You have mail.
headquarters.
Yeah.
I thought my mic was off.
My bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I was like, what is it like the 25 fucking beeps over there? What is that?
So anyway, I think that I think there's a possibility they bring it back. I think they have some problems with this case. Fundamentally, they have some issues with the case. I'm curious, though. I would like to know what the jury count was. I've heard some rumors. What was the rumor that you heard the jury count was?
Well, everyone was saying 10-2, but I didn't hear any rumors saying I know
10 to convict and 2 to acquit.
No. 10 to convict, 2 to acquit is what that Hoffendinger or whatever the hell his name is with the Cottage Tales, the guy that did that closing argument crap that thinks Karen Reed's guilty. Of course, they're saying it's 10-2 the other way, but most of the Karen Reed supporters were saying they think it's 10-2 or 11-1. But then other people were saying, well, based on the jury notes saying some of us are this way and some of us are that way, then that means it was more than 2, but I haven't heard anything that's official of what the actual real count was.
Now, I would say that the state will not be seeking coming at this again if they had 10 to acquit and 2 to convict. In other words, if the jury was hung for conviction with 1 or 2, that means your case is crap. And I think their case is crap, quite honestly.
I'm not disagreeing with that. The whole case was bullshit, dude. I can't believe that it even made it to the point where the jury could even say guilty or not guilty. I would have stopped it. Jennifer McCabe was a good one to maybe stop. Brian Higgins almost pleading the fifth on the damn stand would have been like, whoa. I mean, there was a lot of parts of the trial I thought were like, dude, my mind's made up. And I cannot believe, I mean, everyone has their own moment where their mind was made up, whether it was at the very end with the FBI hired Dr. Wolf and all that, or, you know, at some point your mind's made up, like, hey, here's what I think in my mind. But I cannot believe some of the jury members never had that moment. They thought, some of them obviously thought they were guilty.
You got to remember that when you start a trial, it's kind of like you're getting onto a highway. You've only got so many exit ramps for that jury. Once you get onto the highway, you've only got so many exit ramps. The judge can do a summary judgment. The judge can't say, hey, the evidence is just so convincing here that I'm convinced. So that's it. I'm gonna call it and give a summary judgment. The judge can give a summary judgment when it's not when it's a fact of law, or when it's in other words, it's indisputable, an indisputable fact. Let's say that let's say that John O'Keefe came in and said on the stand, and he's like, yeah, I'm John O'Keefe. Here's my DNA evidence that none of that happened that night. Then that would be you could ask, the defense could ask for a summary judgment. Obviously, they can't convict this guy because he's not dead. But anything else has to go to a jury, and the jury is not allowed to make a decision. You hear the jury instructions. You heard them every morning. They're not to discuss it with anyone else. None of that discussion is. They can't do that until deliberation. It's supposed to sit there and listen to it all, take it in, and then go and do deliberations. And that's the way our system works. So that's why I say the exit ramp is. There was no point whether the jury in their individual minds are like, this is bullshit. I'm ready to give a judgment right now. They don't get the opportunity. Nobody's asking them for a judgment. The process must go on. So it's once one starts, it's going to run it through unless there's a fact of law. In other words, some law prevents the trial from keep going. Let's say that then this has happened before. A defendant's in custody, but the jury's not supposed to see him in a jail uniform. Not supposed to see him in handcuffs. So they got to bring them in first, get them set down, get the handcuffs off of them. And then they're not to put the handcuffs back on them, or even the jury's not to even know they're in custody while the jury's in camera or inside the courtroom. But let's say that somebody, one of the bailiffs comes over, or one of the jail guys comes over and puts handcuffs on the guy for lunch too quick. Boom, it's a mistrial, because that's a fact that can't be known to the jury. Since the jury now knows that you can't take it from the jury, that's a mistrial. I've seen that actually happen. So. So that's the way you get out of it. So, and I remember you guys, and I know that you were saying too, I can't believe it's still going on. Once it starts, there's nothing you can do about it. The next one to see is going to be the Alec Baldwin case out in New Mexico. I think the state is over pushing their bounds on that one as well.
The Massachusetts State Police put out a message. What do you think they said? They said, I can bring it up, Raj. Yeah.
It should have like two hands in the air. Like, I don't even know.
Me. Following the mistrial in the Commonwealth versus Karen Reed, the Massachusetts State Police would like to offer our condolences again to the family of Boston police officer John O'Keefe. We cannot imagine the way in which this result has heightened the O'Keefe's family immeasurable grief, heartache, and sense of loss. John lived a life of honorable service, both to the city of Boston and to the children entrusted to his care. After the unexpected death of his sister and brother-in-law, we will remember them. Upon hearing today's result, the department took immediate action to relieve Trooper Michael Proctor of duty and formally transferred him out of the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office State Police Detective Unit. This follows our previous decision to open internal affairs investigation after information about serious misconduct emerged in testimony at the trial. This investigation is ongoing. Our focus remains on delivering the highest level of police services with professionalism and integrity. Colonel Mon. I don't know if there was anything that said professionalism and integrity with the Massachusetts State Police Department.
Well, he just said his focus was trying to get it delivered. He didn't say he delivered it either. You know, I don't think it's a bad statement, but I think that's probably a good statement for the Massachusetts State Police to put out. They got some holes to repair.
Yeah, I mean, do you chat GPT this or do you write this yourself?
Hey, did you see Turtle Boy's post about an hour ago about somebody hanging a dead turtle on his parents' yard?
Oh, God,
I swear that guy just looks for any reason to get some news.
Well, he actually took a picture of it.
No, not Turtle Boy. Be careful. Be careful, Lord.
I know.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Kingdom loves him some Turtle Boy.
Yeah, man. If you like listening to Turtle Boy, you're one of those people. We'd love for you to listen to this show too. But yeah, he did a little impromptu when he was driving home, and he was like, "Man, I just cannot believe. I mean, I just didn't see this coming. I mean, just total shock. I mean, a lot of people, they thought that they got a victory because Karen Reed's not in jail right now, waiting to go to prison. She's not in custody right now, so she's home. But it's not over. It would be nice to say we're not going to try this case at some point where she can talk about it and go forward. But the best thing to do is just to put a little gag order and say, you know, if you say something crazy, I'm going to use that and bring it up to you in court again. So you have to keep your mouth shut and not do anything that we can also use as evidence, you know, towards your actions. So they're going to keep her quiet. But I see big Netflix special or some kind of special coming up pretty soon. I think Turtle Boy just got a contract that he has a TV series that's going to be coming out about the Karen Reed murder trial. That'll be interesting to hear some stuff that you don't have a judge saying, no, you can't say that, to hear someone tell a story, whether it's true or not, just a narrative that makes more sense, you know, Hollywood professionally done.
I don't think you'll see that until the final disposition. If the state dismisses this case not to return, then I think you'll see that. If the state's going to take another run at it, I think nothing changes for keep your mouth shut and keep staying the course.
Well, man, that's before Karen Reed could participate in something like that. But with so many journalists and news and all this, I mean, people are coming up with stories all the time, you know, whether they're true or not. Here's one right here. Let me show you. This is not a story, but this is a reporter that was right outside capturing the end.
Reporters today, a lot of pink that we've seen today. And, you know, throughout the day today, they've been out here just kind of waiting. And some told me that they felt a little bit deflated that a verdict didn't come relatively quickly here. But then after we got through lunch, Karen Reed went from where they're hunkering down into the courthouse, and everyone was just kind of glued to their phones waiting for what the next step was here. And then when the judge announced there was a mistrial, there was a roar of cheers from the folks here who are wearing pink. It also happened to coincide with heavy downpours, thunder, lightning. But you see these folks, they're still out here right now. Some of them, they've got their umbrellas, they've got beach umbrellas, and there's still cheers right now after after Karen Reed and her defense team left the courthouse steps there. You see.
So, Joe, you think you're the type of guy you would be out there protesting like this?
Zero.
No chance.
No. Why would I do that? Why would anybody do that? our system means that those 12 jurors need to decide. And it's honestly, it's a sad travesty. And that's, I think, the state police statement kind of alludes to that. It's a travesty to our justice system that a decision wasn't made today. Karen Reed deserves a decision, not be left in limbo. She deserves a decision whether she's guilty or innocent, acquitted or not, or found guilty. The victim's family, they deserve a decision. That's what the whole purpose of this is to have a decision in a disposition for a criminal offense if one is so heinous as the loss of a life. So this is all. And then when you say news, I don't want to see any more of this. I mean, these guys, they can get they get on the news and do what Turtle Boy does and get the limelight and talk about what they think and their opinions and all this other bullshit. At the end of the day, that's all it is bullshit. None of them couldn't spell trial.
They couldn't spell trial.
100%.
The judge, will do everybody.
Even this reporter right there. Now you catch your next storm, he'll be in his knees, making like the water's up to his waist. Believe him now, because he's telling the truth now.
Yeah, I think this lady had something to say. I like what this lady has to say right here when she finally gets on the microphone. Well, she's just an average
Lombardi, I
person.
just want to ask you a few questions live on Channel 5. Just how are you feeling? How did you feel when the verdict was, or excuse me, when the judge declared the mistrial there?
So we expected it, right? We expected it. The jury has come back. This is the third time. So we expected it. We were hopeful for not guilty. There was no evidence to bring guilty. Guilty was not even an option in this case. And so, it's not the verdict that we wanted, but we accept it. And I want to learn from this verdict. I want to understand why, with the evidence that the defense put forward and the cross-examination that the defense put forward, I want to learn why this jury could not come to a unanimous not guilty verdict. I think there's a big learn in there, and we need to figure out what it is. If the juries today do not understand forensic evidence, scientific evidence, then we need to raise the standards of juries, because if they don't understand the concept, the defense put together experts from the Department of Justice, the FBI, and military. They do action reconstructionists. These are the best of the best in the world. And if that testimony was not taken as credence, then we have a problem. We have a problem.
What do you think about that, man? The jury needs to be more educated on forensic evidence.
She's an idiot. She needs to be more educated. She doesn't understand how our justice system works, and that she's just, there's no comment to that. She's just an idiot. And maybe she should look up the definition of a verdict, because we didn't get a verdict. That's the issue. There was no verdict today. There was no decision made. The jury did not make a decision. The jury was unable to make a decision. And honestly, it comes back down to this judge. A judge shouldn't have too many mistrials, because it looks like, well, judge, you can't put on a case that we can get a verdict at the end of, because that's the whole purpose of the process, is for those 12 people to come to a conclusion beyond a reasonable doubt in their minds on guilt or innocence, or guilt or not guilty, and come up with a decision. That's the whole freaking purpose of it. So, yeah, I don't want to see. Put her on Netflix. Y'all can watch that. I'll watch something else.
Yeah, he'll watch something else, Laura.
Yes, I will too.
Yeah, Laura's not a big fan, but I don't know. It seems like a lot of people are wearing pink like it's a woman thing, like it's everyone's out to get the woman, and it seems like a lot of shows have kind of took that angle. I'm not 100% sure I see that, even though they did pin it on the woman, but I don't think it's a woman issue. I think it's a police corruption planting evidence issue, more than it's a woman's rights type of thing issue.
I mean, I could chime back in on that if you like.
Well, all the wearing pink stuff, supporting women and stuff. It's like, I get it, but I wouldn't say.
Our good friend Dante's made some comment like that. He'd like to watch our shows because we weren't in here talking about the empowerment of a strong woman. And that's not what it's about. You go back in this case and you parse off all the emotional stuff, whether you like Proctor or not, you like Karen Reed or not. Take your emotions out of it and just look at it on a clean, sterile, logical basis. If you believe that the police planted evidence on that scene, then she's not guilty, period. If you believe the police didn't plant evidence on that scene, then nothing else matters. She's guilty. Because those pieces of a taillight could not get there without there being a collision between his body and her vehicle. So that's the two things you had. But what the defense was able to do was muddy the water, keep it cloudy. I'm still not saying that Karen Reed is. I'm convinced 100% that she's not guilty. I don't know that she did it intentionally. I think maybe it's probably more like some manslaughter if that's what happened. But I'm not out of the realm of that. If I sit on the jury, I think that could still be in my mind because I'm going to have to get past the. I'm going to have to get and also go back to conspiracy. Two people can keep a secret if one of them's dead, and that's pretty much true. You got a lot of folks that had to be involved in this conspiracy to get these pieces out there to make this go the way it went. Not saying it didn't happen that way. The state didn't hands were not clean enough when they come in to do that. And when that happens, I lie on the defense's side, whether if she is guilty, she deserves to go free because the case is that jacked up. But
so despite the case being jacked up and all that stupid shit, that doesn't really change the facts of what happened. You think Karen Reed bumped into John O'Keefe at any point?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know. From that, I can't. I'm like the jury. I couldn't go home and sleep at night with either one of those decisions because I just don't know. Because there's a good possibility that there was police corruption that screwed up. There's a good possibility that she did it. Okay, if you take out the police corruption, and those tail light lens pieces are laying near his body, how do you say she didn't do it?
I was really referring to the physics part of where he is and what they said, their theory of she hit him and then this is what happened and he landed on his phone and held the drink in his hand as he tumbled around 30 feet and the way that the evidence was. It's just the physics, the science. It doesn't matter what you said. The science does not make sense.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I don't know that I understand the science well enough to say that every probability has been worked out. I've seen some weird things both in the military and police where it's like, how'd that happen? But, there wasn't anything funky about it. I watched it happen with my eyes. So I don't know. I guess my point is I don't know. The state should have been there to prove it because that's their burden to do, and they didn't do it. And the defense did a good job. Honestly, if it'd been a not guilty verdict today, I've been okay with that too. Because the state didn't, in my opinion, didn't do what they're supposed to do and prove an American guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, so they're going to take their liberties away.
I think they went too far on the fucking dog bites on the arm. It's clearly dog bites on the arm. I wouldn't say it came from shards from a smooth surface glass that you hit it and it made those incisions or those little tears exactly that look like dog teeth in his sweatshirt. And then it went into his abrasions or whatever they are, lacerations into his arm. Them saying that, no, that was not from a dog. It was definitely from a taillight. That was the part where if that did come from a taillight, the rest of it doesn't make sense, but they could not abandon that part of the theory. Now, not like she hit him with the car and then maybe a dog came to bit him fucking somewhere around the night. I don't know. I mean, a dog bit him. It doesn't mean it was a dog inside of the house, but they just stuck with that story, which just made it, they weren't even open to say, maybe it was a dog bite and maybe she hit him some other way. They could not get off of that exact same story. That's the part that made it seem way more unbelievable. When the science said there's no way that theory exactly happened, they would not get off of it. Right, Big Ron?
Completely agree.
Yeah. I don't share the same view. I mean, I cannot believe that the 12 people cannot say that she was innocent or there was reasonable doubt or there was just this one thing that I just can't get past that. I cannot say that she's guilty. There's no way that I can say that she's guilty and argue that side based on a bunch of things.
I think the whole glass being thrown at the back end of the car was kind of an interesting theory.
Where they made that cannon, just shoot it 20 miles an hour at the glass. And then the guy was like, well, if a body hit it, it wouldn't just be the glass. It would be more damage to the bumper and the upper part of where the glass is. It wouldn't be just the glass itself or the taillight lens. It would be more damage and stuff from hitting a body, which is it's just not there. That part, I thought when the jury heard that, I mean, we were watching it on TV thinking, oh man, there's no way. But then there was just some people who were entrenched down with she's guilty, and I don't know how many it was, but they weren't budging off of that idea for whatever reason. What do you think, John?
No,
Let me throw this in before John does, though. But what would you say if it was the other way? It was 2 for acquittal and 10 for guilty. What if the majority of the jury was on the side that it was guilty?
It's the same thing. I just can't understand how, when it's the you're innocent until proven guilty, allegedly, even though it seemed like the defense had the burden to prove it was conspiracy. It seemed like they're the one that it was all backward. They had the burden to say, okay, you say it's conspiracy, then prove it. Prove that he planted it. Prove the evidence that they did all these bad things. The burden seemed like it was on the defense. But I don't see how anyone could have said, I feel confident that I'm going to say guilty, and she's not just going to go to prison. She's going to go to prison as a cop killer. And her treatment as a cop killer in prison is going to be harsh, and she fucking deserves 30 years in prison. And I'm going to make that decision right now that without a doubt, I don't care about none of it, she's guilty. I don't know how anybody on that jury could say that.
I would not be surprised too if you don't have some kind of corruption within the jury as well.
On most of the time you'd say, I don't know, but in this case, God, dude, it really opens your mind to how deep is the corruption. If they're willing to have these 7 or 8 people, if you believe that, there's 12 people in the house, obviously all 12 of them seen something. But if 12 of them plus their family members, and this guy knows this guy, and he also knows this other guy, and they're willing just to say this one little white lie or this one detail, is it possible? It seems far-fetched. But is it possible? And did it happen in this trial? God, it seems like it, man, because whatever they brought up, it just doesn't make sense. If they would just come with a narrative that actually makes sense, it would have been a lot easier pill to swallow. But they did not come with a narrative that even makes sense. Even at the end, they still didn't have they had that bald head fucking dude, whatever his fucking name is, give well, he did this and he spun around, then he hit, then he flipped there. Like, no, who believed that? I didn't. What about you, Steve? No offense to bald people. That was not what I was trying to say.
Yeah. Are you making fun of us, bald
No,
folks?
I know I wasn't, dude. I was just wondering why it was all Mork and Mindy, nanu over there, the Massachusetts State Police, bro.
Get him, Steve. Listen, God only made a few perfect heads, and the rest he covered with hair.
Oh, is that what happened?
Amen, brother.
Yeah, tactical. It's like, hey, I'm gonna get my turn. We're gonna tee off on Kingdom here.
Easy. Yeah, we have to gang up. Look at we're in a major minority here.
What do you think about the guilt and innocence?
That was kind of weird. So I don't know where I land. Like, I can't really tell if she did it or if she's innocent, right? Like, I lean more towards her innocence, but I'm really kind of surprised at how the jury felt. Honestly, I thought they would for sure come up with an actual guilt or innocent verdict. I found it interesting. They just dropped on the oh, we don't know. Let's do this again. So I don't know.
Yeah. Vet said they were all bald. Every one of them. Well, I mean, even Tully, all of them. But there was that one guy. There was whatever his name was, Greenwood or something. There was one guy that had a full head of hair.
Those guys were either bald or really boring.
The guy that was reading the text messages and the voicemails towards the end, they let him close the deal with the head of hair. He was like the second to last person. And then what do you think, Joe? You were so excited about the medical examiner. After you heard the medical examiner, did it satisfy your need to see the ME or hear the ME?
Well, when you have a homicide, I want to hear what the person that is the only person that can sit in court and say how they died, that you have to listen to. That you don't have to, when you come to an expert, then you say the jury's like, hey, these guys are really smart in this area. Here's what they have to say. You can take it. You don't have to listen to it. It's not important. But the ME is the only testimony brought in. Nobody else can say how this man died. And I'll go back to the ME. I think the ME did a good job. She explained that he died of blunt force trauma to the head. She explained the injuries she saw to give her that opinion, which I would agree with. She talked about the body temperature and how that dying of exposure or hypothermia is kind of, you got to rule it out. There's not like one thing that says this is it. You go with body temperature, nothing else is it. Then that must have been what he died from. But she did not say what the mechanism or the manner of death was. She was asked point blank, but was it consistent with being struck with a vehicle? And she said, I cannot give you that answer. I'm not qualified. So I say that the medical examiner did good, and it did give me that's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear if the medical examiner was going to stand up there and say that these are consistent with being struck with a vehicle, and I've seen thousands of these, and this is consistent with it. Because that would have been damning for the defense, but the medical examiner did not do that.
All right. So if you've got her saying, I can't say one way or the other, but then you've got those last two experts saying what the state is saying happened did not happen. There's no feasible way for that to have happened. I mean, I'm not saying exclude what the ME said.
Damn untactical.
She was unable to say, but then you got these two experts saying no, that it couldn't have happened that way.
Why is untactical no Texan in Nurse Kim's house?
Yeah, I know. What's going on there?
I don't know.
Yeah, it must.
Where's Kim?
I don't know. It must be the background.
That's my piano. I play like Elton John. I promise.
Elton John.
Yeah.
Songbird of our generation, folks, right there. Untactical Texan out of Texas.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey,
John,
guys, I gotta drive in the morning.
If I'm sitting on a jury,
good to see you, Big Ron.
And I've got an ME saying I can't say, but then I've got two professionals saying no, this didn't happen the way they're saying happened. Well, right there's your reasonable doubt. It hadn't already been met, in my opinion, way before that. I'm like, okay, there's your reason.
But then again, you have a Massachusetts State police officer that's kind of acting like an expert, even though he's not, but he's giving testimony in that direction of this is what happened. So they heard that too. And he said pretty much she hit him. So you have one person saying one thing and one person saying another thing. And which one do you give more weight to? But definitely just like did they Google search 227? Yes or no? One person said yes. Two people said no. So it's not like a clear, there was only one expert and that's the opinion of all experts was this. It was conflicting experts on all the major issues.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was just, do you give that guy from the Massachusetts State Police the same weight as you would those FBI guys that are hired guys like Dr. Wolf? I don't see how you could put those in the same boat, especially when they weren't even hired by the defense.
But it goes back to the jury again. That's what the jury's charge is to make a decision. Who do you believe? Who came across more believable to you? I think in this case, we all know that the FBI guys did. I think the state police expert with his 24-hour course didn't. He didn't sound reasonable. He sounded like he was chirping the state's case. He wasn't there just telling the facts and nothing but the facts, ma'am. He was leaning it towards where anything that I say is going to be that Karen Reed did it. Not that it's plausible that it could have happened any other way. When you look at this, it's obviously plausible. This could have happened in different manners.
So yeah. I think Kingdom asked this question before you jumped in, Joe. Do you see them being able to find an impartial jury on a retrial with all the stuff that was going on in the background these jurors didn't get to see?
I think so. Impartial jury doesn't mean they don't know anything about it. It's just a jury that says they can be impartial and the judge believes it, to be honest with you. And there's no hard ties like familial ties or I've been doing my own investigation type of shit. Other than that, you'll have an impartial jury. But I think the state actually may try to move this out of the jurisdiction. It may be beneficial for the state.
You think so?
This somewhere else. I do.
I think definitely, if not for that, just to have the pictures of the actual courtroom, it's like the smallest courtroom in the world, but the other courtroom they have, the jury doesn't even face the person testifying. But in that courtroom, the jury couldn't even hear. It's like, I have to turn the air conditioner off. We can't hear. Why don't we transfer this thing to a big courtroom that has microphones and monitors? The jury can hear, they can see. Why don't we transfer it to a place like that? That way we can have a trial that people can hear what's going on. If not for the conflict of interest and any other, just for that reason, if nothing else.
The only thing that matters is the jury hears. Everybody else there, you can witness it, but the judge's not required to let you hear any of that. So yeah. I don't think that matters.
About the jury being able to hear or being able to see the facial.
No, the jury does. No, the jury should be able to hear.
Yeah. And
anyone else.
That small courtroom that they were in, the jury couldn't even hear because I don't know, the air conditioners or something. There was many people who were in the courtroom that reported the people standing over near where the jury was, they couldn't hear what the hell people were saying. But when they watched it on court TV or what Law and Order or whatever it was, that you can hear it on that. But if you're in the courtroom, you couldn't hear because that monitor wasn't playing inside the courtroom that you could hear.
Well, because the state was being real quiet when they put on their case. They didn't want to. They wasn't yelling it from the rafters, my friend. They were like, yeah, and then yeah, Mr. Proctor, did you go through the phone? What was that? You go through? Yeah, I know the phone. When you went through the phone, did you look for news? Did what news? Speak up! I can't hear you.
And you know that would really suck.
The leaky balloon knot. I said the leaky balloon knot, and she's a CUNT.
If these jurors
yeah.
made a decision only because they couldn't hear certain things, or they thought they heard something they didn't hear.
Yeah, what do you think about that? No readbacks, no transcripts.
Yeah,
in Massachusetts.
I've seen that happen, but I don't understand why they do that.
What do you think about that, Joe?
It's a philosophy or school of thought is that you don't want the jury, you want them to deliberate, not retry the case. So that if, let's say you've got some guy in there that thinks Karen Reed's innocent or guilty, either way. Well, I want to see the transcript, and he gets a transcript, and it goes through it one by one. You know, he's testifying for the state, or he's testifying for the defense. You don't want that. It's deliberation. I don't like the fact they don't get a readout. Now, a readout means that, hey, we just want to hear that again. So that what was said then, you don't get to hear it in another verse. You don't get somebody else to retell it. You get to hear the words that were spoken at the time, and that's why you should. I think pulling out the transcript and having the judge read it just cold, the words that are on paper, so that you can hear it again. I think that's the way it should be. But every state's allowed to run their trials as they see fit. If you don't like it in Massachusetts, you need to go vote. That's where you're going to change all these bullshit that y'all see there in that county. I need to vote. The prosecutor was elected. Your
the
DA's elected. The police sheriff there is elected. Everything y'all can fix there, you can fix with some elections. Probably your governor too, whoever appointed the bullshit ass Massachusetts State Police Commander, because that guy can be pulled as well. Y'all need to fix some shit with some elections up there.
All right. Well, here's an election. What do you think? You got all these freaking news cameras, and then they have a prisoner escape right there at the freaking courthouse today. What about that?
Once again.
Did you see that?
Not giving a lot of confidence in the law enforcement there in Massachusetts, Norfolk County. Just letting y'all folks know.
When we see this, I was like, "Oh my god, dude! What the hell are y'all doing, bro?"
Come on, Eric, help me chase this guy.
Yeah, there's a lost prisoner. Go! I'll turn the volume down because we've already watched it 2 or 3 times. But homeboy was running with that camera. You could tell he's a professional covering breaking stories.
You don't get an inmate escaping right in front of your eyes like every day.
I mean, you have all these people there, you got all the news. I mean, there's so much, it's criticism and skepticism on the freaking police officer. In front of everybody, the most embarrassing thing, you have a prisoner escape right in front of everybody.
And even the inmate thought the Karen Reed trial was bullshit, had to join the protest.
He's running down the sidewalk.
It's like, yeah. Luckily, homeboy went in there and started darting it. He was trying to catch up with the people on the bikes. Looked like they were on cruise control.
My ass is going to jail, but free Karen.
I mean, if you just can't make that shit up, dude.
Well, it's what I said earlier. It would benefit the state if they moved this venue to somewhere else to get a different venue for the state, not for the prosecution. I mean, not for the defense. I think defense. If I was defense, I want to be right back in that same courtroom. Let's do this just again. Let's go.
That second cop is like, I'm saving this department. Watch me go.
Yeah, run, Forrest, run.
That might be the person that was able to that let him go free. He just wanted him caught, so this got over with now.
What do you think about that? What do you think about that, James? What do you think about the prisoner running away and after they got all the Massachusetts finest running after him, like Bo and Luke Duke come around the backstretch?
Well, it just seems to be a fair indicator of exactly what we're dealing with over there in Massachusetts.
I mean, I heard Turtle Boy say, "How did I miss that? I was inside the court. I mean, how did I miss?" It's like, God, dude. I mean, it must be awesome if you're a person who's trying to report on, the crazy stuff that's happening in that area. I mean, they just got plenty of great things to talk about on a nightly basis.
I think welcome to a small town anywhere.
No, I'll push back on that. It's not quite there. You might see some bullshit, but you're not gonna see bullshit just constantly, like every day, like standard business. This is amazing. Well,
I agree. This is a little over the top, but
you go back to just the investigation, solo cups, freaking recycled grocery bags because you don't have it, and you got a bunch of yahoos standing out in the yard with snow blowers on a murder investigation, blowing snow away like they've never done it before.
In the snow, for sure.
And they're talking about, 18 inches of snow being this severe blizzard. I'm like, you're Massachusetts. Don't you get snow all the time? 18 inches of snow, that's severe for us in Texas. I can see this shutting us down. But you guys are like, well, I couldn't get there for 4 hours because I had to shovel out my driveway. We had a little snow that day. It's like, Jesus Christ, you're Massachusetts. Snows all the time.
Yeah.
You hear about it.
This is the first murder when it was snowing.
Well, the Massachusetts State Police doesn't have vehicles that have a high clearance to get through heavy snow. What am I wrong? Does it not snow in Massachusetts? We got 4-wheel drives here in Texas.
What's that
just
truck
in case we have to go off road?
Didn't Lucky say that he always pays attention to that road so they could get there quick?
No, absolutely.
Everyone was icing off their cars from 12 to 5:30 until this CERT team got a green light about 5:45.
Yeah, dark, and then they show up with no lights. Who doesn't? And by the way, you don't need snow for that. We're going to show up with lights in the hours of darkness, and we're doing a crime scene search here in Texas.
Yeah.
Even if it's a small town.
Sorry. Well, that's not the first body found on a lawn in that town.
Yeah, no, we read about that one too.
Oh.
Did you see the tow truck driver? They caught up with the tow truck driver and interviewed him. He swore that the person, he did not drive that car into the Sally Port. That was not him. That was Buchanan. He said they took the car off the loader and the cops took it from there, and he's the one that drove it into the Sally Port.
Well, I would say he probably didn't tell. The defense is going to test or depose him and ask. I would say that he didn't have. If he had said the same thing to the defense would absolutely put him on the stand, because I mean it would impeach mechanic. Because look, if you catch mechanic say one thing wrong, you can now come back and say, hey, judge, you have to advise the jury that they can't discount everything he said if we can catch him in one lie. So I don't know. I think that goes back to Turtle Boy fever and just blowing things up.
You think so? I thought it was just they didn't want to bring up 5,000 people to bring up every single story and spend 3 weeks bringing up people. I think they just wanted to bring up the key one and get over.
Let's try this. Go back to the video where mechanic's saying that's the tow truck driver right there. And this is me. He's pointing at all the people in there. And then your first witness who comes to the defense is like, okay, well, let's talk about that video. You bring that video up. It's like, is that you? No, I wasn't me at all. I wasn't even in there. I wasn't there at all. Hell yeah. No, 100%. In fact, that would be, it'd be an incompetent, you'd have a case for incompetency against your defense attorney if he had that information and didn't bring that information up in court. That's a direct impeachment of a material witness in this case. Direct impeachment. Hell yeah.
Well, I think the problem is they didn't show him the reverse Sallyport video until the trial had already started. Like 2 weeks into the trial, they finally got the Sallyport video. They didn't even know it was inverted, or that was the one that they got, or the timestamp was wrong. They were finding this out just days before. So, I mean, it's not like they had months to say, okay, now that I've seen this video, let's interview people in the tow truck. I think they just kind of got pressed on time. And if they had to retry the case again, you're going to see a lot more of this different stuff, not just Lucky Loughran.
But if the tow truck driver says he wasn't in there at all, then it doesn't matter whether it's inverted or not. Like I say, I think the tow truck driver could have stars in his eyes, or it's a buildup or inflating of a small fact that may not be true.
Yeah, just like the Buchanan saying, "Hey, the this is motion detected," and then of course, John and you were like, "Oh my God, well, you deserve everything that happens after this." Oh, you're an expert at it. You're the person who's an expert at videos. and it just went down this trail. And then you probably could have called somebody who is actually an expert at the videos and the camera to say something, but for what? I mean, do you really need that detail for benefit of the doubt? You had benefit of the doubt like weeks ago. Do you really need to uncover every single stone in here? I don't think so. Because he's probably just going to lie anyway.
You seen the defense?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, defense, honestly, they could have found an expert that may have said exactly what these guys are saying, but let them say it, because I can tell the jury that they're not experts. They would bring up a real guy that was an expert. He could say, well, stop motion, and this is, this is the way it happens. I don't know.
G said it feels sorry for dead turtles left at Turtle Boy's mom's house. It was huge. Was it a real dead turtle?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about a minute ago.
I know, but Joe needs 2 points of reference before he believes anything Turtle Boy says. Let me see.
It was huge.
It was huge. Turtle Boy, dead turtle. What he said on his page or something. Yeah, but the tow truck driver, that was another thing. So if you were going to try this case again, Joe, isn't there some people you probably would not call this time to make it look quicker and just they didn't really add anything?
On the state?
Yeah.
No, I think the state's hamstrung because the state didn't call them the defense will. They're going to be, so it's better to put them up there under your scope and of questioning as the state than it is to put them up under the defense's scope of questioning, because that's going to be broader in an area that's probably not promising to you. Honestly, I think this case, we'll wait and see, but I think this case does not go to doesn't go to a retrial.
No, I mean, bringing those kids up, or I mean, maybe a civil lawsuit that they can get some other details and something in that you can't get in criminal, and then take that testimony and then start to pressure each other as they start telling different stories, maybe later down the road. And because if I called up Proctor again and I called up Buchanan again and some of these other people, now they have more information and they can ask them some different questions, especially the timeline of like John O'Keefe's phone. Like Jennifer McCabe is looking out the window at 12:45 and seeing the SUV there. But now later on with the Cellebrite data, it shows that this John O'Keefe's cell phone went inside the house, and then Karen Reed was at home, not there anymore. She was at home and picked up on John O'Keefe's Wi-Fi. And then 5 minutes later, John O'Keefe's phone took 30 more steps, whoever was holding it, and Karen Reed wasn't even there. So these timelines and stuff like that, it happened so late that you weren't able to put that puzzle together. But I think the defense, after kind of a reset and look at everything again, they're going to be asking a lot different questions going around round two.
Yeah, like I say, what the DA is always going to walk out of a mistrial saying we're going at it. We had the right person all along. Don't think we didn't. And they'll go back and look at their evidence. They'll look and see if they polled the jury, how the jury was rolling, how they thought it went. Sometimes even the judge will give their opinion on the state's case. But I think this one is going to go back to the drawing board. I don't think they're going to try, not anytime soon, unless they find up some new evidence. And they may find new evidence, by the way. That could happen.
The FBI might find some more evidence that they want to contribute to the case as well.
Well, we still have that federal grand jury that we're not even sure why it was convened and what the verdict of the outcome of that grand jury that's sealed is hanging out there. Now, they wouldn't release that until the verdict has been done. And they may still hold on to it because it's a hung jury. But there's going to be a point where that jury information is going to come out. We don't know which way it lies to. It could be beneficial to the state. It could be beneficial for the defense. I'm kind of leaning towards the defense, since some of the people that testified on that grand jury testified for the defense.
So it starts with this one, Joe. I'm sorry I've been so busy, but I love you more than words can express. You're the strongest woman I know. Love, Aiden, which is Turtle Boy. And then there's your justice for John O'Keefe that says Karen Reed's dead, that believes that side of the story. And then there it is. I mean, that is a pretty big turtle with it's like a noose on it. Is it cooked? It's definitely dark.
I think it's just a turtle.
Yeah, a turtle hung up by a string. I don't know, man. That's kind of classless.
Yeah, it's actually got it reeks of classlessness.
Yeah,
Sophistication. I don't know.
James already know the answer. Untactical. If someone goes on your property and you catch them stringing up a turtle and hanging it on the front stoop or something like that, are you brandishing a firearm at this situation?
No.
No. What are you
No.
saying? Hey, man, what the hell are you doing at my mom's house?
Yes, exactly.
And then see what happens after that.
Yes.
Yeah. Elizabeth is like, oh my gosh. Yeah. What is it, James? I think I know the answer. What would you do here in this situation?
Well, you seem to think that I'm a loose cannon. No, I agree with untactical.
What would you do? Just have a stern talk? Hey, man, what the hell are you doing? Am I tying a dead turtle to make a statement at your mom's house?
Yeah, I mean, it does appear to be a terroristic threat, but it's not directed enough to be a great bodily injury or death. So, yeah, stern talking too.
Yeah, stern talking too. What about you, range minded? What do you got on this one?
I don't think I'd have to do much, but my dogs might have a good time chasing them off the property.
Oh, a dog. I like that one. What about you, John?
That's how Chloe got framed, just so you know.
True that.
I wouldn't bury my dogs in my brother-in-law's pool, though. That's the difference.
Yeah, Mavis made a good point. They didn't know it was inverted until Lally presented it in court real time. That was their first time ever even seeing that thing.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question. So apparently a Charlotte Mecklenburg PD officer committed suicide at a grave site believed to be one of the officers killed in that shootout back in April.
Let's give an invite here. Jay. Let's do this. How do we give Jay a link here?
Invite.
Jay, I said it's on Kingdom Radio Texas. It's on YouTube. You have a link. Come on into the studio. Let's talk about it. Elizabeth said, no, whoever did that should be charged for animal cruelty. Yeah. And Fidgety agrees. It should be animal abuse.
Well, it depends on the animal's dead or not. It's worth an investigation. It's absolutely worth investigation. Terroristic threats. There's a lot of offenses that could be inferred with hanging a dead animal on a house.
It definitely falls in line of The Godfather, where to make a statement, they put the dead horse's head in the bed or whatever. I mean, I'm not saying that a fucking dead turtle tied up to your where you put your handrail is similar, but it's similar.
I mean,
Actually,
if somebody's trying to make a threat directly to somebody and they know that they're Turtle Boy, this is kind of perfect.
Yeah, that's I think it's even more direct implication that Turtle Boy's life could be in danger, or they intend to insinuate that his life is in danger.
Yeah, it's to his mom's house. I can see how you can connect the dots there, for sure.
They hung his spirit animal. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, the jury was hung. Yeah, I don't know, that just kind of falls flat, man. I don't like that. But
If it's your namesake, then clearly that's a threat towards you.
no, you wouldn't think he would do it himself just for exposure, would you? That's not a thing.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying I mean, yeah. I don't know.
It's possible he could have done it himself for exposure.
It could be.
I mean, exposure means is cash for him.
I mean, it's hard to think that he would do that at his mom's house, but then he took a picture of it. But then again, he did go down to CF McCarthy's on that Sunday night and had that confrontation with, and yeah, he has every right to go to any restaurant he wants to, but he kind of knew that was going to be a big thing, and it turned out to be a big thing, and they had news cameras, and it was a big story, and it kept him in the spotlight, because now that the story's over and it's just going to start cooling down from here, it's a way to kind of keep it, going. And the people who they say Turtle Boy is a threat to us and he's doing all these things, now that everything's over, maybe he's trying to say, look, they're threatening me too. Look, they're doing things to me too. It's not just me. They're doing it. I don't know. You can't really rule out anything. But
Well, let's don't forget his, was it $500 to make a comment on his page?
I don't know. It was 500, but it's definitely not free. Yeah, I think it starts out at $100.
Yeah, unless somebody's talking to you, they're not interested in paying money to give you their comment. So I would say keeping himself in the spotlight is a benefit for him.
Yeah. I think as far as the Karen Reed murder trial, he was definitely numero uno breaking the story. But since then, there's been a lot of big lawyers that are YouTubers that have been covering the case, and there's been a lot of good comments about pretty much the main consensus is there's not many people that think Karen Reed is guilty. Most everyone thinks this is totally ridiculous, like most of us do. But I just cannot put it through my mind of how the fucking jury could say that she's guilty and they are not moving. I am not budging off of guilty. She's guilty, period, in the statement. There's nothing you can say to change my mind. I'm just not seeing. I don't know. It doesn't make sense for me. But obviously, if I was a jury member or something, then maybe it'd be different. But listen, just like us six are talking together now at the end of the trial, and we're all kind of comparing notes and talking about it. That does help you remember things better. And the jury's not supposed to be doing any of that, so it's hard to really see their side of the story here.
Well, their deliberations could do just like we're doing now. We could take the one items like I would say. Well, here's where I think if we all believe that the tail light lenses were not placed there by the police, then she had to have done it. Everything else I don't know about, but her vehicle came in contact with him. He had to do it. The only thing we got to figure out whether it's murder or it's manslaughter, and then we could debate that in deliberations. That's exactly what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to take it kind of piece by piece, or find the points that if this is true, then I have to accept all of it. Type of thing. Not I have to, the jury doesn't have to accept every little piece of evidence that's shown to them. Every expert they don't have to believe, but they've got to have something in there that is convincing enough to them beyond a reasonable doubt that they can convict or acquit. And just in this case, it wasn't for at least one person wasn't able to come to that. But I saw that coming. This case was so muddy that it could have been 11 to convict, 11 to acquit and 1 to convict, honestly. It could have gone, I don't know which way it is. Usually it's for one person holding out for an acquittal, or 2 people holding out for acquittal. But in this case, I don't know, because there's evidence that goes both ways that you could hold a strong opinion either way. So I just don't know. I don't know which way it went. Just don't know.
Yeah, Giovanni's Pikachu. He said crash reconstructionist hired by the Department of Justice. How was that not enough?
Because the Department of Justice does not have a charge investigating the state crime.
Yeah. A lot of people pushing back on someone saying that Karen Reed had something to do with it and she possibly hit John O'Keefe, and there's some kind of theory that she did it possibly or something. Everyone's pushing back on anyone giving any kind of suggestion to maybe she did it. That is the consensus that you hear most people, but there are a few people that share the view of they think that she did it. But apparently one person in the jury, at least, if not more, that I guess wasn't paying attention to the trial, or they had their mind made up pretty quick and weren't really paying attention to the evidence like that we were. But, the difference, like Joe, when you were saying like we're talking right now, the jury can deliberate, but they're not doing it on a daily basis. They're doing it after 28 days. Then they're finally talking for the first time, right?
No, you're 100% correct. You're right about that. They're not able to digest it and break it up and think about it overnight, come back the next day with a different argument. Well, they can, but you're right. They're not having the discussion amongst each other or with anyone else until the judge gives them the charge to deliberate.
And then you're like, okay, so what do you think about this Google search? What you can't get a read back and see what Jennifer McCabe said. You don't have a timeline that you can sit here. I mean, Lally did a good job by putting a timeline up there that you can kind of see his version of a timeline that they can have those evidence and read it. But the jury doesn't have. I doubt they took notes and have doing all this work and putting all these timelines together. That's not realistic. That a jury member would have did that. I don't think.
I think most juries find something that sticks with them, and that's it. That's the way they're going to go. They believe the state or they believe the defense. I think it's not. I don't really think they take a complete totality of the evidence into consideration when they go back in. And in this case, like I say, if I was sitting on the jury, I have to get past. I've got to come up with a conclusion on the taillight pieces there, because that's significant. His body can be found on the lawn and he's been placed there many different ways. If the taillight lens is broke, and the defense is saying it wasn't broke before when she left, but yet it's broken there, now I've got to make some sort of a decision that law enforcement place that there, because I mean, I know everybody thinks that that's common, but it's actually very not common. If that's going on there, then there's a whole lot of things to sort out there. So for me as a juror, that's where I would have lied. Once I solved my mental dilemma in that area, whether those taillight lenses were deposited there by police or they were there because his body struck her vehicle, then I could have come to a decision, I think, at that point. It's just that. But right now, I don't know which way I would go, because the state's case was so shitty. So shitty. They didn't give me enough to grab a hold of to say 100% sure that I believe the state.
Well, aren't you supposed to, if you can't go guilty, then it's not guilty is the default?
100%.
So when you say you couldn't tell which way you would go, isn't that not guilty if you don't know which way to go?
No, you're right. If that's where I lied, you're right. It would be a if I can't get beyond a reasonable doubt.
You can't tell people I'm hung. You're like, you can't be hung by yourself. Which one is it?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Guilty or not? No, I can't find guilt. You're not guilty.
And I'll revise it as I sit now. It obviously would have to be an acquittal, because I can't go. My mind's not clear on the state's case. It's just because it was so bad. It was just so bad. They didn't present it very well. I think they could have presented that case differently, and you would have seen that differently, I think.
It's tough though, because every time they brought a witness up there, the prosecution's case, we're watching it every day. Alan Jackson was just tearing through every single person's credibility. And I know that defense is supposed to do that, and I don't watch a lot of trials, but this one seemed over the top. Like every single person looked like a freaking liar. They were part of it. And I was believing that he got beat up inside that house and they drug him out. And when Alan Jackson was asking those questions, none of that doubt was removed. But it's not really on Alan Jackson to prove that it happened. It was just a reasonable doubt that Karen Reed didn't back into him. And I thought he did a great job of that. And I cannot believe the jury was like, no, she's guilty, dude. I'm not believing Alan Jackson. I just don't see how people took that stance. Or one person, I guess, I don't know. But it's just hard to believe that you couldn't have quit there. So is it possible that they got to a jury member? I guess it's possible, right?
Who
selects the jury? Like not the selection. You got a letter in the mail saying that you have to go over there, and then they put them in order, and then you can X out a few and say, but there's still a line of 30 people. You can X out 4, he can X out 4, but one of these 30 are coming in there. Who makes that decision?
Typically, the jury pool is registered voters. They'll take registered voters, and back in the day, I think they do it electronically now from your registered registration number. But back in the day, they literally put them in a basket and that like a barrel and roll it, and then they would have like the court clerk or some unaffected party pull out. We need 40, whatever they think they need. They pull those out, and those are your potential jurors. You send them notices, and they show up, and then you start your jury selection from there.
Yeah, if his body shows no signs consistent with a vehicle striking him, then I know, Elizabeth. I know. Believe me, we've been saying this shit for weeks.
Okay, what is a sign that's consistent with a vehicle striking? That's the problem.
Untactical. Go ahead, man.
I've got nothing to say. Oh, Joe.
Well, I'm gonna say that
no, 100%.
Everyone
right.
says it like it's so damn obvious. Like, well, you've got Ford imprint on your elbow. Okay, I'll buy that. I'm down with you. You got an imprint of the Lexus on his elbow. I'm down with that.
Oh no,
100%. But I just his injuries were consistent with a lot of things. Which one was it?
100%. I was just watching Kingdom's face when you asked him that. Oh.
No, I was just like, I It's like, dude, Jesus Christ! If I was ever on trial for murder, they would just plant Joe on the fucking jury. I'm sure. But the black eyes, the laceration on the back of the head, the bruises on the hand, no injuries from the lower body, that would say, hey, I got backed into a car. What happened on my arm? There's no bruising whatsoever. There's just what you say came from the taillight, but there's no bruising. Is this ringing a bell?
No, and all those I can say are consistent with it, but the absence of them doesn't mean it didn't happen, is what I'm trying to say.
No bruising, no fracture, no broken bones. You went 30 feet in the air. No skid marks on your clothing, no grass stains. We talked about all this. I mean,
yeah, and if anybody listened to any of the shows we did that, I brought up every one of those. I would expect to see those. If I saw those, then it would make me feel better that it was a vehicle strike. But without those, it doesn't make me feel better than it's a vehicle strike. But I still can't say, it's not. I don't know what was John O'Keefe's position when he was struck by the vehicle.
Yeah, everyone's criticizing you here, saying your argument's poor here.
Who, my argument's poor? Okay, well, give me some.
Yeah.
The absence of injuries is not evidence. The absence of evidence isn't evidence.
Well, it all points back. It all points back to reasonable doubt, right? It's all reasonable doubt.
Yeah, no bruising, no fractures, no broken bones, no injuries below the waist for one, below the head even. That argument's poor.
Yeah, you're going to keep running those through? You want to save those and get you a snapshot?
No, I'm just saying that I'm listening to how you're describing this, and I don't agree at all. Not even a little bit. There's no fucking way that she hit him with that car. And I'm waiting for you to say, hey, I'm just joking, or hey, I'm just joking, but you're actually serious. You actually think maybe she hit him. I'm like, oh my God. Okay.
I didn't say she did or didn't. I'm saying the absence of evidence doesn't say that it's there. I would, okay, if I saw drag marks, if I saw injuries at the knee with the bumper, or what I would expect the bumper to hit him, absolutely.
Some shit that makes sense.
Well, that would back up the fact that it makes it. It's reasonable to believe that he got hit by a vehicle, but you don't see those. Those are, in my mind, those exactly what I want to see. I would want to see those, and I've seen some vehicle strikes in my time, and I see those. I think that, but I can't say it happens in every one. I don't know. I don't say that. I can't say there's not the probability of an angle or a method of this vehicle striking this person's body that it couldn't happen, or just one of those things. Well, shit, it just didn't. I've seen some weird things with bullet shots. We can laugh all we want about ballistics, but I've seen some shots that are like make you scratch your head. Not sure how that happened, but I saw it. I know it happened. It's just weird. I'm not a physics guy either, so I mean, I don't know. I can't tell you. And neither can you guys. You're going on your emotions. Like, well, I don't see it. Then, God damn it, it must not be there. Well, it may not be true in the reality of things.
Emotions? No, I don't think. Maybe I'm a little emotional about it. I don't like the fact that these cops framed her. I think it's pretty clear. But John, what do you think, dude? Because me and Joe are just going to beat a dead horse. What do you think, dude?
I thought about this earlier.
Objection. No, I'm joking. Go ahead.
I wonder, I guess it's possible that she could have hit him, not causing the damage that was done to the vehicle, but could have hit him, bumped into him, something. And then she realized it, got their attention somehow. I don't know.
He could have just been drunk and slipped and bust his head on the freaking curb, and then got up and dazed, and something else happened, and he wound up stumbling, drunk, throwing up, and decided, I'm just going to lay here for a second, and then he broke the glass when he fell. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that probably could have happened, but the fact that you had all the taillight out there, you're stuck on that story.
Well, but Giovanni says the taillight exploded. It was polycarbonate. It's not going to explode even if she did hit him. It's not going to explode at that speed.
Well, I think the FBI reconstruction guy, Wolf, and all that, he said it would have exploded more. I think that's what he said, right? You heard that one?
Yeah.
So they didn't say, oh no, that polycarbonate, it doesn't break like that. they didn't refute that at all. They said it would have broke more than it did if he would have actually hit it.
And then the fact that you've got all those pieces of taillight that just happen to fall at the same spot underneath the fire hydrant, but then you've got other pieces strewn around the yard.
A simple explanation for that could have been the leaf blower. But how did you not see the red taillight when you had the leaf blower? That's the part that you can't say it was from the leaf blower, because you would have seen it blowing across the snow.
Okay. Well, let me throw this scenario in there. Let's say it's both inappropriate police investigation, and Karen Reed did do this. She pulls forward. She's got a leaky balloon. She needs to go home, but she wants to make sure he gets inside, but he hasn't texted her back. So she's mad. She stops. She's going to back up to make sure he got inside. He's vomiting. He's been drinking. He's sick. He's bent over. His rear end's towards the street. To the yard, and his head's towards the street. She doesn't see him. She's backing up. She don't see him anywhere. He's wearing kind of dark clothing. He's kind of standing off the side. He's not in the camera. She comes through there. She hits him on his right eye, cracks him on his head, knocks him down. She doesn't necessarily know it, though. She sees him, or she does see it, and like, oh, you drunk bastard, whatever, you're okay, get up. And then she drives away. Well, he gets up and crawls 30 feet into the yard, where he loses consciousness and dies of hypothermia. And now the police get there. Well, we don't have enough evidence to prove that she did it. So now we got to prove he was knocked in the yard. We got to prove all this stuff. So they start planning evidence. So you could have a scenario. There's so many different things that it could have. An acquittal, in my opinion, is the right outcome for this from the trial that I saw. But I'm not upset with the jury that gets a hung jury. But acquittal, in my opinion, is where this should have been.
And Giovanni, I wasn't saying that you were being sarcastic. I wasn't talking. We're talking about you. Elizabeth has a question, and this is actually very interesting too, because I hear this a lot. They also said the lens fell apart as they were trying to remove the Sally port. That was in a testimony. I don't have it right here in front of me, but they said when they were actually, remember the lady Burnett or something who took off the tail light and she couldn't, so she had somebody come who knew had a screwdriver or whatever the fuck it was. So when they took off the tail light, the guy testified that, hey, Alan Jackson led him into saying, when you took off the tail light, there was some pieces of tail light that had fell down or had broke when you were removing it, right? And he was like, yeah. And then he's like, okay, so what'd you do with that tail light? Objection. Because every single piece of tail light was found on that yard. None of them were found from coming down. So that was just another small piece that could have been reasonable doubt, but it's just a mountain of stuff like that. You familiar with that?
I'm saying I'm surprised that the state even let this even go to trial. You lay all that stuff out and see, kind of play it out in your head, and even talk about it amongst yourselves and say, do we have a case? Do we not have a case? Even if you've got, sloppy police work, taking evidence, the way they took evidence, solo cups and a grocery bag from the neighbor, and then you're blowing shit around with a damn leaf blower.
And you got a fucking Polaroid picture that you're taking a picture and flapping it. You only got 3 fucking pictures that are not even like a decent phone from this era. Like, you have 3 pictures of the crime scene. When you find a dead body, you only got 3 pictures, 6 officers that are there, an ambulance and everyone. You only got 3 pictures.
Now, hold up. I'll buy 3 pictures. In fact, I would buy no pictures, because there was a day when law enforcement could take a tape measure and some string. They could measure where everything was at, and they would draw it out and diagram it out, where you could go take those pieces that you said you found there, and you could lay them back out there and recreate that scene 100 years from now. The fact they didn't do that is all a bunch of bullshit. Folks, I'm going to get some rest. It's been a great conversation. I do love this banter back and forth, whether you agree with me or not. I like different opinions.
I was going to say I agree with you, Joe, but have a good rest.
Oh, yeah. Kiss his ass some more.
No. Seriously, I was going to say what he was going to say before he said it, because I was going to say I can totally see that there are some possibilities where she could have hit him. He stumbled into the yard instead of being thrown into the yard, so it caused that level of damage, and things happen. But yeah,
let's go back to that. I will go back to that. That actually fits the state's theory better than the state's theory fits it. That he was hit, fell backwards from the vehicle, strikes the edge of the curb, which caused the damage to the back of his head, and then he gets up and crawls into the yard. The problem they can't do that is they didn't preserve the crime scene. With all the snow there, they can't show that they They can't show that he crawled. If you can show that he crawled, you want to see a trail that's going there. They use leaf blowers to blow the snow away. So they did a shitty job. So that's the only way they can come back here. It's like he must have flown like Superman 30 feet through the air. But also would take away, you don't need abrasions with that because you're struck and kind of spun and immediately goes to the ground. So, yeah. Actually, that's a better scenario that the state should have come up with in the first place.
Had that been presented, I would have been like, that's totally viable.
And I could also see the state saying, guys, we don't have enough to take this, but with them being a police officer, they had to because of public pressure.
Well, the public needs to put some more pressure on their DAs. If you want a DA's office in your jurisdiction, it's for everybody out there, folks. Not we're talking about Norfolk, Massachusetts, but wherever you live, if you want the DA that says, "Hey, cool, I'm going to take some bullshit and I'm going to take a citizen, one of you voters." That's it. They don't do it to people that don't vote for them. They do it for people that do vote for them, and put them on trial. And just to see how it works out, then we'll throw it at the wall and see what sticks. Then y'all need to keep voting for that DA. If you don't, you vote them son of a bitches out. Same with your juries. I mean, your judges and your sheriffs and your law enforcement they're elected, which all of them are. Even your police chiefs are elected by your city councils and your mayors. That's where you need to focus your attention so you don't have this bullshit.
Yeah, Jay Goodman. I put the link on Kingdom Radio YouTube page on the messages. I put that there for the link to StreamYard if you want to jump in there. I don't have access to go to Untactical's YouTube and put the link there. I guess I could, couldn't I?
Oh, you can send me the link. I'll put it up there.
Oh, Joe, before you go, I'm gonna send you.
Wait, I have the link. Never
what
mind.
You got?
Yeah, send the private chat.
I'll send you a text.
Yeah.
All right, folks. I'll be back on. We've got our night court tomorrow night. We'll be back on it and running as close as usual as can. Appreciate everyone.
Get some rest, bro.
Rest up, Joe.
See you, buddy.
Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Bye.
We love you too, Joe.
Mwah.
Oh, you're blowing kisses. That's so sweet. All right. So, is it possible to go 24 miles an hour in reverse in your car? Do you know how fucking fast that is? You're talking about a engine whining.
Yeah. So
usually the engine retards, like kind of like a ABS, kind of like a where it won't even let you go, but so fast in reverse, right?
Well, yeah. So my driveway is about 70 foot.
Yeah.
And I actually tried doing that the other day, trying to back out of the driveway and get up to like 22 miles an hour, and I could only get up to 12
in reverse.
Like before I knew I was going to lose control, even though I was holding the steering wheel straight, I just couldn't do it.
Well,
no, that's hard.
To keep it going straight or to go that fast?
I guess to answer your question, both. Like at 12 miles an hour, I did not feel comfortable, even though I was holding the steering wheel with both hands tight. I was like, I'm going to lose control.
You don't think you could do it in the snow with a brand new Lexus?
No, I'm just saying.
That's got lane correction, right?
I didn't even feel comfortable.
Well, it had pedestrian collision avoidance thing where they were showing that. Remember the Lexus was backing into a pedestrian and automatically hit the brakes and stuff. And what was interesting is they said that they let off. It was only 75% on the accelerator, and then it went down 3 miles an hour, but never hit the brakes. And that was so you went from 24 miles an hour to 22 miles an hour, and that's evidence right there that she hit John O'Keefe. It's like, who's fucking believing this bullshit? I don't know. I'm not.
Wow, Joe had a little parting shot there. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Look in the private chat.
Oh, the private chat. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I seen that. I just seen that.
I'll just send him a text. I'll send him one.
Hey, look, we got Jay Goodman here. You know Jay? Untactical?
His name sounds familiar, maybe from my channel, but
yeah, this is one of your fans, bro. Let's pull up Jay. Jay, what's up, dude?
What's happening?
Hey, man, tell us all about it. Karen Reed Merch Shop. You've been following it, right? Let's hear it.
I just want to say this. So I've been watching this thing for like the last 3 or 4 weeks, and so my wife has been watching it from day one. And so she turned me on to this thing, and I don't know how any. I got to keep my words clean.
No, go ahead and use the words. We don't care.
I don't know how any motherfucking juror can
Right.
I'm offended.
watch this case and not see that Karen Reed is not guilty.
I know.
Reed.
It is beyond my mind. I don't understand it.
Yeah. So if you were sitting there in the jury and there was just someone who was just hung up on a detail, I mean, what would be the first thing you would say?
I'm like, Michael Proctor shit his pants. So then you go to Trooper Paul. He didn't know whether he was coming or going.
Yeah, Trooper Paul. Yeah, no, God. By the time Alan Jackson was done with him, man.
Yeah, I mean, come on, really. I mean,
It just happened. It just did. I don't know. It just did.
I mean, come on. So Trooper Paul shit his pants.
Yeah, 100.
I mean, gosh dang. How could you not find her not guilty?
Yeah, John, he sounds like he's from your neck of the woods, bro.
I'm from Oklahoma.
Oh, okay. He's from North Carolina.
Well, hey, we're pretty close. But what I'm saying is, I don't know how they could be a hung jury, and it just floors my mind.
The question is, do you both get free sweet tea at Chick-fil-A?
No.
Are you a former law enforcement? No, he's got his Ultra going in the garage waiting to. Yeah, he's got home.
No, I'm a truck driver, man.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God bless
yeah,
you.
camo.
I'm a truck driver, dude.
Hell yeah. How long have you been following Untactical Texan?
I come across you today.
Oh,
for the
no
first
shit.
time.
All right.
And so, what part of Texas are you from?
Houston area.
Well, dude, I'm down in Houston tonight.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I'm in Houston.
I'm in Houston tonight. I'll be back home tomorrow.
Hell yeah.
He's a hell of a follow. You picked a good one.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, I just don't understand it, man. Like, whenever they came back with the first note this morning, and then I'm like, okay, she gave them the Tully Rodriguez, whatever, and I'm thinking, okay, they're going to come back with a not guilty. And then I'll be damned if they did not come back with a damn hung jury.
I know it. So what do you think the most damning piece of evidence was that she was not guilty? You think the 227 Haas Long to Die in Cold? Because that was the original one.
Man, there's a lot.
I know.
And, I mean, and like, so we're finding all these. So Jackson, like 3 pieces turned into 5. That's a magician.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, damn.
With that abracadabra.
I'm gonna try not to be like Turtle Boy. I'm pretty eloquent with my words.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a gosh damn. Listen,
Debbie. Good.
This case was a total BS case from the beginning. And like I said, I didn't come into this case until probably a week before Proctor got on the stand. But my wife has been following this from the beginning. And so she has told me about this case, and I'm like, okay, I'm on my drive down to Houston, I'm going to watch this stuff. And it just turned into a damn circus.
So,
yeah, man.
Jay, how did your wife come across this? Is she like
She
the Boston
is
area?
a true crime junkie.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
So right before this case, she's watching the Daybell case. And then she got me hung up on the damn Murdaugh case. I'm telling you. So that's how it all happened. And
Man,
then
you got
so I'm
your hands
thinking, okay,
full.
she said this to me, so I'm like really going to get interested in this stuff. So, yeah.
Did you hear the Brian Higgins testimony when he damn near had to plead the fifth on the stand?
I had to go when I went home. She showed me that on YouTube. She had re-showed me that stuff on YouTube, And like, if you're told not to give your damn phone up, why are you going to go throw it in the government trash cans?
Oh yeah, on the military base.
Yeah. I mean, this is bullshit.
Well, you cut them up because you don't have trash service at the place that you live. And you didn't drive your company car to the party because then you'd have been drinking and driving in your patrol car. So you drove this Jeep that no one's seen, and then you went to the office to do some administrative paperwork. Really, I'm sorry, what I meant to say was I was moving cars around while I was drunk. But then I went back I went home, and then it, right before they had the preservation order, he broke the SIM card in half. And then put the phone in one trash bag and the SIM card in another because he doesn't have trash service. Goes onto the military base, throws one bag in one dumpster and one bag in another dumpster. And it's like, what? It's like,
so that's another thing. The Tully. Oh shit! I done lost my train of thought now. Gosh dang.
You were saying the dumpsters and they had the Preservation Act and they were butt dialing each other and butt answering each other.
Butt dialing. How the hell can you butt dial when your phone's on lock and you got to push buttons to get it off? If you unlock your phone, you got to push your numbers in. How the hell can you butt dial somebody? Oh, that's just butt dial.
Yeah, if I did that, I would have cut the SIM card up. Yeah, it's like but yeah, they weren't very forthcoming with any of this.
Oh my gosh.
It was like pulling teeth.
Yeah. And then, so like on the news tonight, you seen that NBC Boston 10 News, get off my lawn.
Oh yeah, with Michael Proctor.
Yeah, she was in the road.
Yeah.
Gosh, dang. I'm not on your lawn, fucker.
Yeah, the whole thing stinks from the butt dialing. So you had a conversation for 22 seconds. Like, you can't have a conversation in 22 seconds. You're like, and then his lawyer.
Jackson proved that wrong.
But his lawyer did, because when his lawyer was standing right beside him about to plead the fifth, they said, well, do you need to speak to your client? And he goes, well, I only need 10 seconds. It's like, oh, I thought you can't have a conversation in 22 seconds. Yeah. The whole thing is bullshit. Like Giovanni said, normal witness behavior, nothing to see here.
And and that's the thing. It was Turtle Boy. He heard that thing that one road that they were saying was up and down, up and down.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
He went over there and proved that shit was wrong.
I know, it was the flattest road on earth.
Yeah.
They're trying to say that iPhone, that it would say that you went up and down stairs because of the road. Yeah, it's like, no.
Man, there ain't a doubt in my mind. John O'Keefe went in that house, and as soon as he went in that house, they beat the shit out of him.
Yep. 100%.
There's not a doubt in my mind. And they had to wait for a certain amount of time to get him out of that house. And even though Plowboy, he was not in the yard at 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Lucky Laughlin.
Yeah, Lucky Laughlin. So this dude he may be goofy as hell, but he ain't going to lie.
No, he was solid.
Yeah, he was pretty solid for sure.
Very trustworthy. That guy's not going to pay for another beer at the bar, probably for the rest of his life.
No, I bet that dude don't even drink beer.
You hear about the dog? Elizabeth pointed out that Brian Alberts in May, Chloe went after another dog out front, actually killed the dog.
I did hear that.
That there was 2 lesbian ladies and sent them to the hospital, and that's when they actually got rid of the dog.
I heard that.
Yeah.
So my wife was saying earlier, when I was talking to my wife earlier, she was saying, like, why don't they try to find the dog? And then, like,
Brian Albert.
One of Brian Albert's brothers covered his pool up all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he covered the tool up. I think it was from the flooring in the basement they removed, and the bulkhead that goes out of the basement. He said he had to remove the bulkhead. Obviously had blood on it or something. And then shortly after that one, that his brother, Tim Albert, decided to fill his pool in. So I guarantee if you dig that pool in, you're going to find some basement flooring. You're going to find a dog. You're going to find a bunch of shit, I bet you.
Oh, yeah. You're going to find some bullshit.
Yeah. But I mean, you would have to have a hell of a suspicion to actually, I don't know, John might be able to shed some light on it, but to go in there and dig someone's pool up on suspicion that you think something's there, you'd have to have more than just a suspicion to do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would.
This whole case has been a bullshit from the beginning.
I know. And, you know, at the end of the day, like, you believe in the cover up, right? So they didn't know about the taillight until Jennifer McCabe heard Karen Reed say it. So at first, he just got sucker punched. The dog bit him. He fell down the stairs, or, you know, something like this happened, because this was the original point from the whistleblower who did say that this happened from a kid just a few days later before the police report even came out. He told David Yannetti the whole story about how he got beat up inside the house. And then from day one, then they're like, taillight. But when they've drugged that body out and they put it out in the front yard, they didn't have the taillight theory. That's why they put the broken cocktail glass out there. And they had his wallet. They didn't know that they're going to say, oh, no, Karen Reed hit him. That wasn't until later on. So their original thought was he just got into an altercation outside. He never came inside. That was the original thought, I believe.
Yeah, and see, I don't understand that. I mean, you had those two Arca guys. How could you not dispute those guys?
Your mind's already made up. That's the only thing I can think of.
I mean, them dudes are biomechanics and shit like that, and Trooper Paul has an associate's degree. What the hell?
It's not even compare. I mean, and it's not even having the associate's degree. If you say 1 + 1 = 2 and it just makes sense, we can move on. But the stuff he was saying, regardless of education, his idea of how it happened and his theory, it just didn't make any sense. Like, Alan was like, okay, so let me get this straight. So you hit the arm like this, you know, just want to make sure what you're saying. Okay, so then you hit me, and then we spun around a few times, and then I hit the concrete right there, the curb. Okay, yeah. And then I went 20 feet. But what about the taillight at the fire hydrant? How'd that get there? Oh, we must have hit. So then what is that? 30 feet he flew? Okay, that's what you're saying? Oh, well, I don't know. It just happened. I give up. You know, I quit. You know, so.
I mean, how could you do a pirouette, hit your head on the curb, and then fly 30 feet? It's not happening.
See, here's what I think, and this is why I was trying to defend Joe. It is entirely possible that he got out of the vehicle, started slipping on the snow a little bit, and that's why he wasn't responding to the text, and he was still drinking out of the glass. He slipped and fell, hit his head on the concrete. That's where that initial injury hit. She gets pissed off, hits it in reverse. He sees it, kind of uses his right arm to shield himself while kind of jumping out of the way, which cushions the impact, because the biomechanical engineers were expecting a stationary impact. There's plenty of factors that can make it so it wasn't stationary, which would lessen the amount of impact, which would cause the sustained damage onto his arm and the damage onto his head on the other side. He then stumbles into the yard to where he was eventually found, potentially carrying some pieces with him, or upon the initial impact, you could throw some of those pieces, or she might have hit the hydrant, leaving pieces there.
Okay, so my whole deal is, in this whole case, whenever you see her backing out of John's house, she hits his car, and the tire moves.
Yeah.
She cracked her taillight, and then Officer Barrows from the Dighton Police Department said that taillight was not completely broken.
Yeah.
How
right,
in the...
and so he would hit near the taillight, which would cause a little bit more damage, causing those micro fragments to end up in his clothing, but not enough to completely destroy it. The police then take that evidence and really try to frame her by breaking it out more, planting more evidence, blah, blah, blah.
So my wife had a question, was like, why or how did those little fragments of taillight get in his arm? It's because they had the clothes in their truck from the time they picked up the vehicle all the way to wherever they were going, and they could take those fragments when they got there, and those little fragments, they could crush them and push them into the material.
Yeah. And you planted a hair on the car, and it's not even a hair head. I mean, I
And
hit
that
on your hair.
damn thing did not even move. The damn hair not move for 75 fucking miles. Excuse my language. I'm sorry.
Super
I'm
offended.
turkey.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, damn. How could that hair not move for 75 miles?
What would cause her to back up at that point, though, James? So, given your scenario, I agree that may be plausible, but what would cause her to suddenly reverse at, 25 miles, 22 miles an hour?
Well, like the prosecution stated, she had had a number of drinks prior to getting to the house out there at, what was it, 32, whatever. Yeah. And 34 Fairview. So I think someone testified that she tried texting him saying, hey, did you get inside, and didn't get a response.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's possible that he was drinking, slipped, and fell and wasn't responding because he was still trying to gather himself, get up from that. And she got pissed off from not getting a response and backed up into him.
She dropped him off at the driveway, though, and then she pulled forward near the flagpole waiting because the person was behind her, looking for Brian Nagel, trying to pick up his sister, Julie Nagel, and she came out to the car and said, hey, I'm having a good time. I'm going to get a ride from someone else. And she goes back in the house. Nobody's seen John O'Keefe laying in the ground hit or anything. She was Karen Reed was texting him because he had went inside the house. Even Brian Higgins said that he's seen someone fitting the description in the federal grand jury, that someone that was tall with dark hair came into the house, because, you know, the penalty for lying in a federal grand jury is different than in this court case. So he did say that way, if anyone ever proved he was in the house, Brian Higgins said that he's seen someone matching the description going in the house. But I mean, Brian Nagel pulling by Karen Reed and seeing she had her dome light off, and she had all the lights were on, and John O'Keefe was not in there, and her hands were at 10 and 2. I mean, that pretty much tells you that he wasn't in the car and he went in the house.
All right, so I see what you're saying. She got mad at him, and she did it on purpose. So she's like, "Oh, screw this dude! I'm backing into him." Okay.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
I mean, I get that.
Well, no, I was saying more or less it could have been an accident, like backing up, like Joe was saying, to confirm that he did indeed get inside. But, you know, backing up, don't see anyone outside the building. It's like, okay, well, he must have gone inside and then drove off.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, she probably just pressed the gas because they were fighting and she sped off, you know, when she was mad. Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense.
So my question is how, if there's snow on the ground, how in the hell could she go 62 feet at 24 miles an hour if there's snow on the ground and her tires are just going to be spinning?
Well, that's just it. A lot of those things don't actually have accelerometers that tell the exact speed of the vehicle. They go off of the speed of the transmission. So the transmission was spinning as if the vehicle was going 24 miles an hour, regardless of how fast the vehicle was going.
Yeah, I think Alan Jackson did a decent job talking about the key cycles. It's like, okay, so one key cycle, get into the car and go to the waterfall bar. Another key cycle is to go to drop from the waterfall to the CJ McCarthy's, or vice versa. And then from there, let me mute this right here. Then the other key cycle is to go drop John off, and then she goes home. Then another key cycle is to go to Jennifer McCabe's and go look for John. And then another key cycle is to go to her mom's house. So you have like 5 key cycles. Then there's a key cycle when the tow truck driver drives it onto the tow truck. Then there's another key cycle when you take it off of the tow truck. But you only have 3 key cycles, and they're saying that you only have 3 key cycles. One of the key cycles definitely could have been when they took the car off of the car transport at the police station. They could have jammed it, you know, in reverse and went 62 feet or spun the wheels and stuff like that before they pulled it in Sallyport, since it was Officer Buchanan driving the fucking car. So right there, you could have had it, the key cycle that was actually at the Canton Police Department versus Karen Reed actually doing it. And I thought Alan Jackson did a decent job proving that.
Alan Jackson is like, he's like a guy you don't want to mess with. So here's another fact that my wife had told me. She had researched Alan Jackson. She said his win rate as a defense attorney is 96%.
Do you think this hung jury is a win?
Yes, because Karen Reed did not get in handcuffs, and so I think it's a win, but it's a loss. I mean, she didn't go to prison. So, what do y'all think of, do you think Alan Jackson's going to stick with her?
Who's that? You think Alan Jackson's going to stick? I think, Alan Jackson's going to follow the money, but I think Karen Reed, with the donations and stuff, she surely can find another attorney or hire Alan Jackson, David Yannetti, and Little. But do you keep them or do you get someone else? Because there's a lot of big name lawyers that would love a shot at Michael Proctor in that case.
Hey, so what do you think about Mark Betterow?
Mark Betterow, I think he's the best attorney that I've heard talk about the Karen Reed murder trial with him and on Young Jerks.
Yeah.
I would rather listen to Mark Betterow than listen to Turtle Boy, actually, to be honest.
I like Mark Betterow because he's got a lot of insight and he's very knowledgeable. He says, whether you disagree with him or not, he'll say what he thinks is right and what he thinks is wrong.
Yeah.
Mark is very knowledgeable, but he doesn't think that Jackson's going to leave Karen Reed.
Yeah, Jackson's from Texas. I didn't know that Jackson was from Texas. I know he lives in L.A., big L.A. lawyer.
Yeah, I didn't know.
It's interesting how all those experts were all, the ones that he brought in were from L.A. as well. The lady, Dr. Russell.
Yeah, is she from that old lady, the dog bite lady?
Yeah.
She's from Texas.
The amount of publicity they garnered, I'd say it's a win. Yeah.
Yeah, she sounded so disoriented on that damn questioning.
Who's that?
The Russell lady. It's like a retired school teacher.
No. Dr. Russell was like she had started off. She went to the Massachusetts State Police. She was with the crime unit. She was in charge. She had 2 residencies. She had like 30. She was with the Department of Corrections in California. She was at the coroner's office. She did over 1,000 dog bites. I mean, there was nobody in the country that was a dog bite expert more than Russell.
Yeah. She was actually pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, when she said it was a dog bite, I mean, they brought in the pathologist or whatever, the old man, or what'd you call him, James?
Father Time.
Father Time, yeah. They brought in Father Time that was, like wheezing through his last cigarette to tell the next sentence. But the pathologist, he said it's a dog bite too, but he'd only seen like 3 cases of dog bites that led to fatality. He was like the Undertaker, literally. But Dr. Russell, Aunt Bev didn't like her at all.
So, as far as the tail light deal goes, why would anybody not believe that these guys that are like trained in this stuff over Trooper Paul? Why would they not believe that, okay, these experts know what they're talking about? I just don't understand why it was a hung jury, really. I don't.
Me either.
And then, like you said earlier, the 10-2, and that was from Plevin. Plevin's an idiot. He was saying 10-2 guilty. I don't see a 10-2 guilty charge whatsoever.
Yeah. Elizabeth said Aussie Insider counted 3 sodas and 3 vodka shots.
I mean, this is like, I don't know how in the hell she did not get a damn 12-0 not guilty.
Me too. Range minded, what you got, dog? Range? You there, brother? What you got non-tactical? Is it on mute? What am I doing here?
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah,
There
I
you go.
muted myself.
Yeah.
That's probably a good idea, actually. The reasonable doubt thing comes into play here. So all of these different scenarios are plausible, but did the state prove that any one of these happened? And I say no.
Yeah,
I
100%.
don't think the state gave any proof that any of these very plausible scenarios happened.
And it's
That's
because
right.
of the taillight. It's the taillight doesn't make sense by where the taillight is. And you also found it on his shirt, and it wasn't a dog bite. The arm came from the taillight, and you stuck to that story. If she would have just pled out, it'd have been fine. But the fact that she fought it, it just doesn't make sense, man. And you can't say anything else but that because you didn't planted so much evidence. You backed yourself in a corner that it has to be that, and it doesn't make sense. That's the problem. If you could say, I don't know, she definitely hit him, but maybe a dog came and bit him. And maybe, I mean, if you could stick with that story and be good, maybe the dog was rustling around the taillight pieces or something. I don't know. Did anybody see a dog? Doesn't mean there wasn't one. But the fact that they planted all that taillight, they were stuck on that story.
Wow. The lead investigator being clearly biased by his testimony does not help. I mean, you know, they could have argued that a dog came along afterwards and chewed on his arm.
Yeah, but the fact that they planted all that tail light, they couldn't.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, no, he had to have hit his arm on the tail light. And then you're like, I know, but I don't know if you thought about this or not, because Trooper Paul probably didn't correct you. But how could you hit the arm and then fly 30 feet where they found the body? Yeah. You're like, oh shit, we need to rethink this. I don't think they were thinking all this. They were just thinking, okay, she hit him. There's tail light on his shirt. There's the glass, part of the glass is on the bumper. His hair is on the car. Everything's matching up. There's no way he's getting out of this. We send all these samples. They acted like they cotton swabbed the shirt and sent it. He swabbed his ass probably and sent it in there. No, it's no dog. It's just like someone's ass. He's swabbed. It's not a dog. You know, the whole thing was just absolute bullshit. But
I mean, I'm not law enforcement or, you know, anything, but to me, sloppy investigating, red Solo cups, you know, grocery bags, your chain of evidence. There's no documentation of chain of custody on any of this stuff. That to me, that has to be a not guilty to me.
Yeah.
I mean, the red Solo cup deal, when my wife told me about that, I'm like, why would they not?
Why would they not what?
That's crazy as hell.
Yeah. Yeah, the red Solo cup, I don't know if this is a tribute to Alan Jackson or whatever, but the red Solo cups picking up there was a 6-pack. You remember the 6-pack of red Solo cups? The red Solo cups, the thing that's interesting about those red Solo cups is there was only this much of snow and blood mixed together. If he really did bust his head and he was leaking all over the place, you thought there would be more blood in the snow or something, right? I mean, there'd be blood everywhere if you leaked out that much blood. And another thing is, if you hit him, let's say you hit him, you hit that son of a bitch and he fell down and you left him for dead, like they're saying, he wouldn't have hypothermia. He would be frozen to death after 5 hours in a t-shirt. But the fact that he's still partially alive and still bleeding through his nose and the mouth when allegedly he'd been sitting out there for 6 hours, that doesn't make sense, in my opinion. I mean, maybe someone else has something to say, but that doesn't make sense to me.
None of this makes sense. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. I mean, if he was hit by that damn car, he would have bruises on his torso. He would have cracked ribs, broken bones, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And for Trooper Paul to say, well, he just stuck his arm out there to embrace the impact, bullshit. This son of a gun seen this car backing up. If this was the case, he's going to get out of the damn way. Anybody in their right mind, you see a car backing up, hell no, I'm not standing there. I'm getting out of the damn way.
Yeah, or unless you're drunk taking a leak. But I mean, when you hear the car whining, like, damn, this bitch is going 24 miles an hour.
Yeah. I mean, unless of course you're 7 drinks in and already hit your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. It's like, goddamn, if there's snow on the ground, that 24 mile an hour, she's gonna be spinning them wheels She's gonna be spinning them wheels. She ain't gonna be backing up no 24 mile an hour.
Yeah, he lost 3 milliliters of blood. Where's it at? That's a good point. Yeah. Oh, look at Fidgety.
And then here's the other thing. They said that on the genes that it could have been his blood and 2 other people's blood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who else's blood can it be? Proctor or Alberts and the other dude.
Brian Higgins.
It's
Brian Higgins, Brian Albert. It's Chloe on his arm for sure. And then you have a little bit on his knee. Looks like a part of a tooth got into his knee. And then you have Colin Albert, the young kid. Who, clearly
that dude is a joke. So did you see the Turtle Boy incident from like a Sunday or 2 ago? What,
for which one?
Last
Was
Sunday?
it? Oh,
Whenever
yeah, we seen that, huh?
Yeah, I mean, so they were saying that, they were intimidated witnesses, but yet they were intimidating him. They were not intimidated. They were ready to whoop, they were ready to whoop his ass that night.
I mean, wouldn't you? I mean, golly, for the rest of their life, they have their little tight circle of friends, but outside of that circle, God, you're always going to be known as the person that was involved in killing John O'Keefe.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get a job, trying to get a job at the tire shop to rotate tires, like, hold up, ain't you the dude that was killed John O'Keefe?
Yeah, it's a small town. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
Here's what I think. The day of closing, when the McAlberts came in there, and set by the O'Keefes, it was a fucking jury tactic. It was
jury intimidation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's a small town. You all know who I am, and I'm gonna sit here and stare darts at you like the Biden Vader or whatever, fucking dark Brandon or whatever the hell his name is. I'm almost gonna stare laser beams into your eyes and let you know if you're gonna go against me. Plus, it was Paul O'Keefe and John O'Keefe's mom that are saying, I know you think that Jennifer McCabe and Brian Albert and all these people are in on it, but we don't agree with you, and I want to show you because I want them sitting with our family, showing that we don't think that he killed our son. Yeah. We don't think that they killed my brother. And for them, that's a low-life piece of shit to know for a fact that you beat up their son, their brother. You killed this man. You put him out like trash out there next to that American flagpole, and you left him out there like trash. And then you're going to go to these fundraisers and support and hang out with the family. It's like, what a low-life piece of shit, man, to do something like that.
For sure.
Like Giovanni, get the fuck out of here. I'm with you on that, dude.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. This whole deal, I think that was a scare tactic for the jury, and I'm not too sure that, like Turtle Boy said earlier, he did a impromptu live when he left the courthouse. If he ever gets a hold of the jury list when they let it out, he's going to do some research. And I'm not too sure some of these son of a guns that was on this damn jury, they might have lied on their damn little deal, whatever.
Colin got in a fight this weekend?
They may know these people. And somebody's going to find out. Because there is no damn way in hell that this fucking jury could come back and hung.
Yeah.
No way. There is no way. After seeing the evidence, when Proctor shit the bed, I mean, on the cross, I mean, there is no way after seeing all that crap, and then the Trooper Paul crap, that there is a hung jury. And the thing that got me is the Barrows testimony, like, no, that tail light was not completely broken. How in the hell can a jury, after hearing that, come back and say hung?
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, we all seen this little fight. This isn't last weekend. I don't know if you're talking about this one or whatever. We've seen the 2 fights that Turtle Boy showed. He fight the black kid in the locker room where he was sitting behind, like humping on him and stuff, and got a few licks on him. And this one, he looks like a little bitch. Like there's no way that he was gonna beat up John O'Keefe. Maybe when he was passed out drunk, falling down drunk anyway, or he already got sucker punched by Brian Higgins. And so Colin Albert hits him in the back of the head with a dumbbell. But this guy's a little punk ass bitch. He ain't doing nothing.
No, so what I'm talking about is like the Turtle Boy. Whenever he went to do the phone forensic guys speculation of the road was up and down, and he's road was flat. And so they ended up going to Canton. They go to C.F. McCarthy's and eating dinner, and then they see Colin Albert. Because, C.F. McCarthy's right next to D&E.
Right next door, yeah. Pizza and subs.
Yeah. And they start shit with Turtle Boy. And that was on, not yesterday, but the week before.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they start shit with him, and that's when old Julie, whatever her name is.
Daniels.
She gets out of the car and takes his fucking phone, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, we played that one. I have it. You want to see it again?
That's crazy as hell.
Yeah, I got that one. But we had already played that one when it happened. That one definitely got some airtime with us.
I was watching it live.
Oh yeah, me too. And then all of a sudden there was a big.
What the crap?
Yeah, on Sunday it was like, oh my god! Just when you thought it was going to be a quiet day, it's like all of a sudden he's got this big story up there, and he's signing autographs at the end and everything.
Yeah. So, with that being said, he's like got these charges for witness intimidation. So, with that being said, after that video, with all the bullshit that they done to him. Do you think that'll get him out of the witness intimidation stuff?
Oh yeah, 100%. Now check this one out. So did you see the Limey's Pub? El Jefe, Sean McDonald, he actually broke it. But this Limey's Pub, they have a statement: no cop killers allowed. And
right.
Norwood Police Department to eject and bar the Alberts forever.
Yeah. So I heard that last night, and so they got ejected from that one, and there's one more that they got, and I can't remember what it was. They got to where they can't go on that one either.
I mean, any restaurant, it's only 5 of them. Shit. I mean, what is it, 10 people, and then plus Joe Lanou who thinks that Karen Reed did it? I mean, there's not that many people. So just to say those 5 people ain't allowed, now everyone's like, well, hell yeah, I'm going to give all my money to you, and I'm going to support your business. I mean, it seems like a great idea to do that for business. To say those 5 people, because if the 5 people are there, you probably wouldn't want to go there anyway, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff going on there. What you got, James?
I just realized that the pizza and subs would be P&S, and kind of says a whole lot about those people.
What does it say, brother?
P&S.
Oh, P&S.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see what we got here. So we uncovered a lot of stuff. Anybody got anything new that's happened today? I seen Betterow talking today, and Betterow was just, he's like, it's not a loss, it's a win. But God, dude, I mean, Betterow was just like, they're gonna pretend to call it, but don't play into that. He doesn't think that they're gonna retry this case. They're just saying that for now, but he doesn't believe they're gonna retry this case. But I cannot believe that a prisoner got loose today, man. That shit was just like, what?
And they were chasing that dude down the damn road.
It's like I
bet he was shouting, "Free Karen Reed!"
That's some crazy stuff.
What'd you think about the fake victims and all that? Like Turtle Boy's talking about the fake victim. He has that little crowd of people following him around.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What'd you think about them?
This
Crusty
okay.
Panties, fake victim, bedbug Becky, twisted
Look,
trade.
So it's Crusty Panties. So it's Crusty Panties like The Karen Peters lady.
Krusty Panties actually used to work with Turtle Boy and used to be on his staff, maybe even quite literally, and then or something. But she was allegedly known for going to parties and leaving her Krusty Panties behind. So that's how Turtle Boy nickname. This is not like, I don't know if it's confirmed, but then all of a sudden she went from working with Turtle Boy, and then there was some kind of discrepancy of campaign contributions or something like this, and then so she started working for whatever Turtle Boy says. She wants to work for the opposite, and then there's since he's kind of plowing through these women who are throwing themselves at Thy. Now they've all kind of formed alliance of anti-Turtle Boy, and whatever he's for, they're against. And I think that's the 5 of them there with the Albert Mafia.
So Mazda Media and LTL was supposed to go on Court TV tonight.
Oh, I got to hear about that. I got to hear about why he backed out, because I did hear that today on Young Jerks.
They backed out because
don't lie. Don't lie.
They did not know Krusty Panties was going to be on there.
Well,
that is it. Because the Court TV did not tell them that Krusty Panties was going to be on there.
And the Yellow Cottage Tales or whatever the hell, John or whatever.
I don't know if he was on there or not.
Yeah, he was on there. I seen the screenshot of it.
So they backed out because they heard Krusty Panties was going to be on there, and they didn't want to deal with that bullshit.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, here's something interesting, because Mazda Media, he's like a nice guy, right? He finally got his video camera working, and he's with Young Jerks and Better Row every day. Mazda Media, and he's there at the courthouse, and he's doing a lot of cool things. I mean, it's awesome. But Mazda Media was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna go on Court TV. And even today, when Mike was like, oh, you're gonna be on Court TV, and you're gonna be, going on there and talking about Karen Reed, and then it's like, then they were saying, well, there's going to be opposition there, so it's going to be 2 sides of the story. So you're thinking, oh, you're going to get into a debate. And then they started going, if Court TV, I mean, this was like a total fucking diss on Mazda Media. Court TV, out of all the people that you can pick, you're going to pick the C-lister, Mazda Media, when you could have Turtle Boy, you could have Better Row. I mean, there's like a top 10, a top 5. The lawyer you should know, or just anybody that could be pro Karen Reed, but you choose Mazda Media and LTL Media. I mean, no offense to them, but that's what they were kind of saying. Like, there's a better group of people that you could pick from. But and decide they chose him, and then Mazzy was like, well, look, I don't know. All these people talking shit about me and trying to say that I can't. I'm telling you, you don't know me, and I'm just here to support Karen Reed. And I don't all this bullshit. People saying that I can't handle myself, and I'm going to get clobbered by those people. They're dead wrong. I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna tell them what. Well, shit, the phone's breaking up. And then then he called back and he's kind of explaining the story, but he's saying definitely, without a doubt, I'm going to go onto Court TV and I'm going to really make a point against these people. And it's not really a debate. I'm just going to tell my side of the story, and it's really not like a fight or nothing. They're going to say something, I'll say something, and we'll leave it at that. But then like 10 minutes later, he gets off the show and he fucking backs out. And he said, well, I don't want to go there because I thought I'd have the only viewpoint. I didn't know they'll have another viewpoint. So I kind of back out. You know what? I don't want to say nothing bad about him, but it's a bitch move, in my opinion. After you go online, you're talking all this shit like how you go in there and do some shit. And then 2 seconds later, you're on, well, I back out based on principle. The principle that, that there would have someone who has an opposing view on the show is just absurd. I'm not going. And that part right there is,
you're right. If you're not scared of Karen Peters, go on and do your thing.
Karen Peters?
I mean, if you're not scared of her, if you don't give a damn what she says, just do your thing, man. Just go in there and do the Court TV deal and prove your side of the story.
She didn't have, according to Trooper Bakaki. I know shit.
All right, guys, I got to bail. Dinner time for me. Nice chatting with y'all. Good to meet you, Jay.
Man, I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, thanks for bringing all the people on Untactical. Yeah, Untactical jumped
look what
on
you got here. There's way more about this case than I do.
Who's that?
Jay.
Oh, James?
No, Jay.
Oh, Jay.
Man, tell you what,
He knows
Whenever
way
you
more
go-
about this case than I do.
Whenever you go live again, dude, I will be happy to come on because
Next Monday.
next Monday,
Next
and I will
Monday
be
at 8 o'clock, I believe.
I'll be in Houston, and I'll be glad to talk to you. And
All right.
look, I love this. I have absolutely loved following this case. Like I said, my wife turned me on to it, and I didn't follow it. Like I said, about a week before Proctor came on, and I'm like, oh, I hope they call Trooper Proctor, and they damn sure did. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I love this, and I will be glad to do some live with you.
Well, my next Monday is not about this at all.
Yeah. Untactical talks about guns.
Typically,
Hey,
yes.
look, I love guns.
Yeah. Yeah, I talk about Karen Reed murder trial, and I'm in the holiday lighting business, and that's what I do in the season. Then I talk about, just whatever kind of stuff. That's what I do. And James down here on Night Court, and also sometimes on Tactical, they talk about Pro 2A stuff at night on Spaces on X.
And sometimes smoking meat.
Oh,
So this is the first time.
smoking meat.
I'm gonna tell you what. This is the first time I've ever been on anything live,
Yeah.
and I love it. And if I can do anything to build my channel up, I've just got a small channel.
Don't we all?
I mean, if I can do anything to build my channel up to free Karen Reed, or we can talk about guns or God or whatever you want to talk about. I don't care.
Well, hell yeah, dude. Well,
Yep. Absolutely.
And I would be more than happy to just sit here and shoot the shit with you.
hell yeah, man. Well, I'll tell you what, it sounds like you need to get on Spaces.
Yeah, I agree.
These guys are on Spaces, Night Court with Joe Lanou. They're on Spaces every single night. Oh, well, most of the nights, right?
I think
Is
it's three nights a week now. So
Is that like
get on X.
It's on X.
Twitter, X, whatever.
Is
And,
Spaces like an app?
No, it's X, like formerly known as Twitter.
Oh, okay, Twitter. Okay.
Yeah,
So if
so
you're on there, look up Joe Lanou, Joe_LNU.
I got you. I'm
that'll
gonna
put
do
you
that
there.
right now.
yeah,
I'm gonna do that right
and they're using Night Court's usually talking about topics that are if it's not 2A, just different topics that are in the news and stuff, court rulings and stuff like that, and they'll kind of dive down through it. And there's usually a panel of about 80 people that's on there, and they take turns talking and stuff. You'll love it.
Who is StreamYard guest?
That's you, probably.
Yep.
Well, who is it? Okay. Anyway, I appreciate you, man. I love this shit, and I'll do this any day.
Hell yeah, man. Rock and
So
roll.
night court is Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Friday is our police use of force review, and Wednesday is our smoke show.
Smoke
All right,
show.
man. I appreciate you for having me on.
Hell yeah, man.
My wife won't let me come to the smoke show.
Why is that?
Joe_LNU.
Yes, sir. Joe Lanou.
All right.
All right,
And
guys.
what about you, Untactical?
Oh, so my Twitter name is the same as my YouTube name.
Okay.
Untactical Texan.
Yeah, you can search me at Untactical Texan, Twitter or YouTube. Same thing.
I got you. I appreciate you.
Giovanni, you think my impersonation was pretty good? All right, Jay. Good talking with you, brother. What's up, James?
No, not much.
You out of here?
Just chilling, drinking a whiskey.
Hey, what do you think? Just for real quick, I'm talking like Joe Biden here. Real quick, what do you think about the Joe Biden Donald Trump thing? Untactical.
Oh, what a fucking mess. I don't even know where to start with that.
Yeah.
I think it was a win for both parties.
Yeah.
Because they want to get rid of his ass right now, which is why they outed him. That was a setup.
You think so?
I personally think so. I think Biden's gone. I think they're trying to back out of this. That was a setup.
You think so? He was terrible, dude. I mean, just to think that this guy's the nuclear codes, number one. Number two, to think that he has a whole week to get prepared to have a speech, and Trump's making him look stupid. What the hell are you talking about with foreign dignitaries and presidents of other countries, especially hostile ones, or peace in the Middle East? It's like, how in the fuck are you even doing that, or even talking about big business deals like a CEO that's running a huge organization like the United States of America and all the departments? How is this person doing this? They've been hiding him for so long. I think anyone who watches Fox News have seen this guy stuttering and all these things, and he looked just like that on stage. It wasn't like, no, he was great. Now it's just this one little thing you're focusing on. Everyone got a chance to see it, and the people on the left seen it for the first time, it seems like, and now they're like, eject.
They did. They totally did, and they did. I think they did that on purpose.
You think so?
Yeah, I think they're trying to get rid of him. There's no way. They've hid all this very carefully over the last, several years. The guy's not been smart for, his entire career in politics. It's not like this is new, but this younger generation, they don't go back and watch videos from 30 years ago when he said dumb shit. They just watch now.
Yeah.
So I think this is on purpose. I think they want to get him out. But the thing is, who do they run? What, Newsom? You got California tied around your neck. You can't escape those policies.
Yeah, and that whole bullshit, like, you could clearly tell he's out of breath and shit. But that whole thing about, this guy likes Hitler and going through the woods with torches and swastikas. And let me guess, you just want to take civil rights and have it go back to the States. And, and he's racist and he thinks Hitler had good ideas. And it's like all this stuff. It's like, what fucking point are you trying to make? I mean, who are you trying to get stirred up with this bullshit? Do you think that black people are like, yeah, you tell them? I mean, come on, dude, sit your bitch ass down. Talk about something that people actually care about instead of slinging, no, you're racist. No, you're racist. It's like, I didn't understand that shit at all.
I think it was a loss all the way around for us as Americans. That's what I think.
I don't know what he said, and honestly, I don't think he knows what he said.
Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah,
that's actually true though.
And then he was arguing about the fucking golf swing of who has a better hand. Why don't you say, like, I'm not really that great at golf. I don't play golf that much. You're great at golf. Okay, good for you. But everything's got to be like, well, if you're on this side of the fence, I'm on that side of the fence. You have a 8 handicap. Well, I got a 6 handicap. It's like, dude, I mean, let's not act like children here.
Yeah.
I mean, you're splitting hairs over a handicap. Shut up and talk policy.
I know.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, and then that's why I say it's a loss for both sides. Trump didn't say anything he would do coming up. He didn't say what he would implement, what he was going to try to do. He didn't say any of that. He keeps going backwards, and I think he needs to focus on forward. Yeah.
Well, Trump is about what's your problem? Social Security? Yeah. You're killing the Social Security because you're letting all the border problem is letting all these people in. So they're on Social Security. The people who have Social Security, you're not going to have it because of the border. And it's like, oh, yeah, you're talking about crime. Okay, boom, let's go back to the border. Oh, you're talking about the safety and foreign policy. Yeah, I mean, foreign policy. Let's talk about the border. Oh, you're talking about what happened in Afghanistan. We should have fired some person. And you also should have fired the person that was at the border. Everything went back to the border. And he didn't have anything to say about the border. I mean, they did have a little press release today saying that he has 2 or 3 plans and maybe he'll do something about the border, but he's getting killed at the border. When Trump said, don't fix the border, allegedly, because I want to use that to run on the border, he drove that border home. And if I was Trump, I think I would be the one saying, I don't need to have another debate with you, Joe Biden. There's no reason.
I mean, see, if I were Trump, I definitely would have brought up the fact that people are saying, oh, I told people not to build the wall or I'm against the border, whatever. HR2 is still sitting on the Democrats' desk, and it's been there since since before this border bill that you all are talking about. And it is still sitting there live. It can be voted on today, but they're not going to bring it to a vote. Why? Because it's HR2, which is $20 billion just for the border and nothing else.
That's 100% right.
They had the border and they had Ukraine tied up in the same thing. Where you HR2 is still sitting on the Senate floor, which does not have any funding for Ukraine. It's literally still sitting there. They could vote on it right now and still have money for the border, but no, they're not gonna. Yeah, I think wasn't that the one that they're only going to let 15,000 people across a day, and then they're going to stop letting people across?
I don't know exactly. I haven't looked into the details in a while. I did read the whole thing, but it's been, gosh, the thing's been sitting in the Senate for a year. So it was probably 8 months ago that I read it last.
Yeah, that shit right there was funny. He was like, I just want to let you know the people from the border back me, and it was like 2 fucking seconds later on X, the U.S. Border Patrol,
Yeah.
just to be
Have
clear.
not and will never.
Yes, that's what they said, actually. Yep.
You know.
Oh, no kidding, since you tried to mock them up for whipping migrants. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
you think they're your friends now. Okay.
So yeah, what do you think about Kamala being president? I mean, it's like one of these like weekend with Biden situations.
Is that you on the left?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my cousin Danny on the right.
Oh, okay.
So
From the
I'm thinking it's entirely possible that they keep Joe Biden on and they secretly try to pass laws in all these states that already have ballots and whatnot out saying that a vote for Joe Biden is a vote for the Democrat primary nominee, even if it's done after the fact. So they'll probably do something like the week of or the day of the election, inject their nominee and say, okay, if you vote for Biden, this is who you're actually voting for.
Well, I heard in 2 states that they can't change Biden unless he dies or something else that ain't going to happen. They can't just say, Biden's going to step down, because they've already had the primary in the state. There was 2 states that said that they couldn't change. So he wouldn't be able to run in those 2 states. So he has to run. So,
well, that's just it. Joe Biden does, quote, run, and he's on the ballot. And if you vote Joe Biden, that vote changes over to the other person.
well, yeah, it changes over because when he's incompetent, it changes over to Kamala Harris, and then whoever the who would be the next in line? You ever seen that show? What was that show? What was that damn show? The one where everyone pretty much died, and what was his name on that Netflix? A Lone Survivor, or
I don't know.
Not Lone Survivor.
Anyway, yeah, but it was like, as soon as if the president and the vice president go, then it's like the Secretary of State or
Oh, you're talking about the one with Kiefer Sutherland.
Kiefer Sutherland, yeah.
Yeah.
Designated
24.
survivor.
Yes, designated
survivor. Yeah.
You got
Survivor, where he has to stay home because everyone was there, and then so they're like, well, normally it's this and this and this, but like if the vice president and the president, if you don't have those two, I mean, obviously Kamala Harris, she looks like she's in good health and can make it 4 years, but then it would be the next person in succession, I think, is the Secretary of State, right? And then at some point it goes to the Speaker of the House, is what Sutherland was.
No, it's the Speaker of the House next, and after that,
Speaker of the House is after VP.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the next one.
Kiefer Sutherland was in that show, the Department of like Agriculture or something.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
it went that far down where he became the president. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. If you vote for Biden, you're voting for Kamala Harris, in my opinion. But how can they prop him up and have him? Oh, there it is. Press VP, Speaker of the House, Speaker's third.
Yeah. Biggie's on it.
Yeah, Kamala would be a disaster. They hired her just because he said, I'm just going to find a black woman. And then they said, boom, Kamala Harris. That fits the description. And she's what was she, like a DA or something? In California?
She was a DA in California, and she locked up a bunch of people on bad drug policies.
So like a DA, like years on this would be like Lally. Lally becoming president. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a small town, but this would be like a DA. He's an ADA. He's not even a DA.
Right.
But having a DA go from that to skip Congress, skip all that shit, just go straight from DA, like Alvin Bragg, go from DA to the president of the United States. That's a fucking leap.
Well, I think when she ran, and I think she got 1% of the votes.
Really? By herself? When was this?
That's
2016.
Yeah, 2016. She got 1% of the votes, so she dropped out.
Yeah, Jay, I don't know about Kamala Harris being the president behind closed doors. I think it's Jill Biden. She seems to be weekend at Bernie's, weekend with Biden, and she's kind of dragging him around because, God, he looks incoherent. And like when you're dealing with someone with not Alzheimer's, dementia.
Well, probably both.
Well, I mean, dementia, like you have your good days and you have your bad days. And, and then all of a sudden you start having more bad days than you have good days. And then there comes a point where there are no more good days, but
launch nukes to Syria.
But unfortunately he was having a bad day, but you can't have a bad day in the situation room where you got to make a country altering decision. You can't be like, well, catch me next week when I'm having a good day again, and you're already 82 years of age. He's not doing the country any favors by staying in office another 4 minutes, much less 4 months or 4 years. And for him to run another term, to think that he can be coherent and 4 more years after this, it's absurd. And the thing I thought was interesting is a lot of people who are like, oh, Joe Biden's the greatest, you freaking racist, and you like Trump, you're in that cult or whatever, you hear that bullshit like that. They ain't been talking about nothing but the fucking weather the last couple of days. Did you see that? Like the communist Krasenstein or whatever the hell his name is. He's like, did you see that hurricane? I mean, anything but Joe Biden. They're talking about the weather now.
I mean, think about it. Would you let your 82-year-old grandfather make financial decisions for you? Absolutely not.
Hell no.
Unless my 82-year-old grandpa was Trump. Maybe. Maybe.
I mean, so my father-in-law is 82 years old and he has actually dementia, and I wouldn't let him wash the dishes.
No, yeah.
Let alone make decisions for an entire country of people.
Yeah, Jay says definitely gonna be looking for you guys on live. Yeah, 100%.
Well, that was a good ad. He knew more about it about the trial than I did.
Yeah. Did anyone know Joe was having an affair with Jill while she was still? Wasn't Jill like the nanny or some shit?
I think that
the babysitter or the nanny.
I think it was. Yeah, I think so, but I'm not positive. I don't want to get suicided tonight, so I'm not saying anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, always allegedly in Minecraft.
Yes, correct.
She was married. No, she was married.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, Fidgy's setting the record straight.
Yeah, Fidgy's on it.
No,
well,
Fidgy,
guys,
don't mess around. Yeah, you're out of
I
here.
gotta bail out. Yeah, I gotta.
20 minutes ago, bro.
I know, but you guys are entertaining, so.
All right. Well, I have this little video. I'm just gonna play this little video, and I also have Tucker Carlson, but we'll catch you, dog. I don't want to keep you longer.
I'll watch the video. God damn it!
Jesus,
why,
man?
You twisted my arm. Come on.
You're listening to Kingdom
Having
Radio.
sex with a porn star. The only person at this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now.
But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. Without question, the worst president, the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. This man is a criminal.
Now, please welcome the 46th president of the United States, Joe Biden.
Now, can I say this? The things he said, there was a bunch of racist things that he said, and I may have cut this video up and put them together to make him say a little bit more than he said, but he actually said all this stuff, but maybe not in the sequence that I just put together right here. So I'll just give you that disclaimer, just throwing it out there.
That's a fair disclaimer.
What do you say to black voters who are disappointed that you haven't made more progress?
They acknowledge they made a lot of progress. We're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. I thought Hitler had some good ideas. We're trying to provide housing for black. And these people should be in jail. And they should be the ones who are being held accountable. People coming out of the woods carrying swastikas on torches. Hitler's done some good things dealing with the segregation. Nazis coming out of fields carrying torches were fine people. Come on. So there's more to be done, considerably more to be done.
And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't forget that. Super predators was his name.
It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous.
The fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now.
They were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those woods, carrying those torches.
What do you say to black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
I say I don't blame them for being disappointed. Good things that was done. The idea that I have to apologize to you for anything.
Please welcome the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump. Thank you, President Trump.
I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match.
Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with you. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag.
That's the biggest lie. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap. Yeah. 8. But I have, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Okay, let's not act like children. President Trump, we're going to
let's not act like children.
How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. We created 15,000 new jobs. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble.
The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce back jobs, a bounce back from the COVID.
We have 1,000 trillionaires in America. I mean, billionaires in America.
The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine.
I don't know where the hell he's been. The idea that anything he said is true.
What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans, is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street, and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion.
I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down, and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that. First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion bill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important.
There's a lot of young women to be raped by their in-laws, by their spouses.
Raped by your spouse.
Brothers and sisters.
Yeah, damn.
It's just ridiculous.
We should all be so lucky.
Brandon, just speak to him.
I'm the only president
Let's go, Brandon.
this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world.
Our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. And it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Never heard so much malarkey in my whole life.
Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said it about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country.
By the way, the Border Patrol endorsed me, endorsed my position.
According to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. I call it Biden migrant crime. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all. I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life. He should have fired those generals like I fired the one that you mentioned. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man that was involved with that the Afghanistan horror show. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. Because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old, all because of him and stupid decisions.
It's been a terrible thing.
He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what anyway.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You're the sucker. You're the loser.
Because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. The only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace else, in a nice location someplace. And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people.
You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China.
If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they've raised $500 million, billion dollars, I should say. We are the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China.
This tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming into the country, you know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year more, because they're going to have to pay the difference.
Do you notice he never took out my tariffs, because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China? He never took them away. He can't, because it's too much money. The worst situation with China, China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID, excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
Any black student is capable in college of doing what any white student can do.
That I'm going to make America
Shots
great again.
fired.
We're going to make America great again. America great again. America.
You
Well, there
only
you
get
go, bro.
a little bit of editing on that, right?
The Joe Biden one, I mean, he said all that stuff.
I know he said it all.
But I put it together where he said it a little more convincingly. I mean, you know, cat's out of the bag, dude. But yeah,
I mean, you got to cut out all the owns. You know.
No, I didn't really cut him out, but he was just so monotone. You can't even tell like what he was saying, because he was trying to say it. And Trump, I mean, like, I'm sure when they debate prepped him, they said, look, dude, okay, you're going to tell him this and you're going to tell him this. And his delivery was so poor. And you were talking about the Nazis, and Hitler had some great idea. I mean, it's like terrible delivery. Terrible delivery. If you're going to say stuff like that, have some fucking good delivery when you're delivering it. His delivery was so terrible, it sounded like he was saying it.
Yeah. Well, I'm probably going to take shots for this, but I'll say Trump needs handlers. He needs someone to say, go this route. He does it all himself. Like, don't do that. Go this route. I think he needs handlers.
He needs Vivek.
Vivek Ramaswamy, 100%. I've thought that since back in Ohio, or whatever the hell they started off with, when Vivek was, he didn't make it past the first day, but he worked harder than all those guys. He like Trump went to 26 appearances in Ron DeSantis went to 32 or something. Vivek Ramaswamy did like 185 appearances. I mean, every second. I mean, he's just outworking everyone. His work ethic, how smart he is. And if you're going to put someone in office, especially with Trump always busy with all these fucking lawsuits and stuff, you need a second person that can be a first person. You need a backup quarterback that can actually take it to the Super Bowl, like the guy from the Philadelphia Eagles, where he, if he has to take center, he can
You're
actually
not
do
talking
something.
about Michael Vick, are you?
No, dude, I'm talking about the white boy. Fucking. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the white boy. He did the little, the Philly special. And
I got you. I got you.
Yeah. But yeah,
I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm just asking.
No, but I'm saying is, Ramaswamy, this dude has some great ideas, and you can say, like Mike Pence, you take care of coronavirus, and I'm going to take care of this and this. I mean, he can actually tackle a huge ass project or multitask many projects at the same time, and has great ideas and a great vision for what the country should do. And anytime you ask him a question, he doesn't need to sit there and think about it for a week. He knows it right off the bat. Here's what we should do. Let's do it. Let's execute. Here's exactly how you do it. And he could delegate and be a great leader. And that's why I think Ramaswamy would be a great number 2. And he's not a politician. He's a CEO business person, just like Trump. And he has the complexion connection, but it doesn't matter. Trump is not saying, well, I got to have someone that fits these descriptions. It doesn't have to. The best man for the job is the one that's on the field, like the NFL.
Yep.
And running our country should be no different. We don't need, I need someone gay. I mean, have you ever, did this with a penis? It's like, no, dude. I just want the person who could run this country the best on behalf of the American taxpayers. I just want whoever, pretty much AI would do a better job, really. But you have to have someone who's forward thinking. And Vivek Ramaswamy checks all the boxes for me.
Yeah, he is well spoken. He's quick. I believe he does have some ties to Big Pharma, which worries me a little bit. But
49ers. Check out James over here. He has something to say. He's just not saying it.
What? I was going to try not to distract from y'all's conversation.
Yeah,
I'm about to bounce out, so you need to hop in here.
Yeah, you're like that.
Well,
guy
I mean,
that's at
exactly.
the bar, like, hey, sweetheart,
just one more.
I'm just having one more beer. I'm just he just sank the 8 ball, and I promise I'm double or nothing. I'm just going to have one more beer. I'm gonna finish up this.
Okay, that I bid you, gentlemen, good night.
Go cook your dinner.
Later, buddy.
Later.
Good night.
All right, James. Anything else to finish us off? Fidgety's still with us. Champion has been listening to the YouTube channel, and we don't really have a lot of people listening to the YouTube channel. We got 598 people right now collectively watching through 3 different YouTube channels. We have 2 X channels and 1 Facebook channel right now. It's broadcasted on.
Wow.
So 598, 600. I see people doing like freaking 4,000 and 5,000 people, and I'm like, damn, dude.
Well, all I got to say is the Niners actually held the record at a certain point in time for being the only team to go to the Super Bowl, and every single time they went, they won. Up until they lost in, what was it, 2007? I don't remember.
Didn't they lose last year to the Chiefs?
Well, sure, yeah, but like I said, up until 2007, all the years before that, every time they went to the Super Bowl, they won, which I think was 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, you're talking about some Joe Montana. And that's back when the Dallas Cowboys was good, and the 49ers had Deion Sanders, and then he goes with the Cowboys and they win. And I mean, this shit back in the 90s. I mean, like, what were we, barely getting in high school and stuff?
Oh gosh, back then, nah,
I
didn't.
A Chiefs fan here. Is it Taylor Swifty, Chiefs fan?
Well, I was born in California, only about 45 miles away from San Francisco, so of course I'm going to rep the Niners.
Yep. Well, I mean, the 49ers is a good team and everything. You said you grew up around San Francisco?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we were in San Francisco, and I was in Long Beach, and then I went to Maui, and then they were like, well, San Francisco is not that far, and I was looking on the Google maps. It's like, it's fucking 8 hours. It's not down the road.
People often.
I said Maui. I meant to say Malibu. I went to Maui, Hawaii, and then I was back in Malibu.
Right.
And yeah.
People often underestimate how big California is. It's big. Like I said, I grew up there.
Champion, you were a Chiefs fan before Taylor Swift, or you're saying that you became a fan after of Taylor Swift or the Chiefs? That's a good question.
Oh, that is a good question.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you're talking about your fascination for the 49ers.
Yeah, no problem.
They should have beat fucking Philadelphia like 2 years ago, but they had their third string quarterback. He did a great job, young kid, Brock Purdy. But Purdy, what was he? He was injured 2-3 times, and he was already the third stringer. Then I think they took someone off the bench, and then they were recruiting people out of the stands. It was terrible. The fucking second half of that game, the San Francisco, even with McCaffrey and everything, they just didn't have a damn chance in hell.
Yeah, I haven't actually followed up on football in quite some time, but yeah, the Niners definitely fell apart around 2011, and that's about the point where I was like, well, don't really care about you guys anymore, because one of the guys that they're back.
They were in the NFC. Yeah, they were in the NFC Championship last year, the year before last. Last year, they made it all the way to the Super Bowl. They beat the fucking Detroit Lions somehow. They were on fire with Eminem and all this other shit. And you thought it was going to be Eminem and Taylor Swift, and we're going to have all these celebrities. And all of a sudden, the fucking 49ers won, and they're in the Super Bowl. And they did a good job. And it came down to the end, but Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs pulled it off. Super Bowl last year. February. Nice. Yeah. So update.
Definitely should pay attention to that.
Yeah, we do football shows. We're in the Christmas light business, so after Christmas we do shows, and the first thing we cover is the Super Bowl.
Very nice.
Yeah, hell yeah. Oh, NFL playoffs, I should say. But yeah, any last things? Karen Reed, murder trial. Can't believe she is guilty. She can't believe she is not acquitted right now, and she has to fight again.
An absolute travesty of justice. I mean, there must have been at least one juror in there that looked at the evidence, because if you look at how Bev laid it out, how Massachusetts lays it out, they have these multiple charges, and you can say the top one, no, that didn't happen. But this next one, well, no, that didn't happen. But this last one, completely separate evidence from the other two charges, whatever. But this thing could still happen. She could be guilty of this one thing. Everyone else is acquitted on all charges, but this one thing they're still hung up on. We don't know what it is, because everything that we see is, no, there's no fucking way. But we're not in that room. Oh, well, hopefully they drop it.
I didn't want to bring up politics, but it was just too humorous not to share it. I sat there and tried to pick it apart, and I was like, oh my God, it would be funnier if you said it just like this. And then, it's just a thing now. It's like when you're talking to someone, people got Photoshop skills. I mean, you got CapCut, and people just on their phone are making these killer videos and stuff, or Photoshopping different people, doing things, or even the AI animation of where they have the head like a family photo album, and they're sitting here singing a song and stuff. AI is getting dangerous, especially for like bullies and stuff like that. But I did want to make that disclaimer. I don't want to lose my integrity, but I just thought it was like political, like Babylon Bee political satire kind of stuff, but it's definitely funny. But yeah, definitely follow me on X, Kingdom Radio TX, Texas. And we definitely were online all day talking about Karen Reed and talking about some of these Joe Biden and Donald Trump people that they're always attacking me every single day and telling me, oh, Kingdom Radio, I bet you didn't know this shit. No, what are you going to say about this? I'm like, ask him. I don't fucking know. I'm trying to run my life. But yeah, I get, people trying to attack Trump all the time. They feel like they're going to take it out on me for some strange reason, but that's just the world we live in. Politics. We all know the people who are really in it. Yeah, champion. Good for sure. But anyway, James, anything else, brother?
Nope. Have a good night, Kingdom.
Cool. You guys have a good night, and I'm going to play a little Tucker on the way out, man. I appreciate you, brother.
I watched CNN today, and they had the presidential debate, the U.S. presidential debate. And maybe some of you saw it, and if you did, well, it was amazing. It was amazing on every level. But what was especially amazing was afterward they went to the panel of assembled Democratic operatives posing as journalists, and all of them were like shocked to discover that Joe Biden has dementia, like they couldn't believe it. What? Oh my gosh, he's non-compos mentis. No way. Are you serious? And I'm thinking to myself, what year is it, 2024-ish? Middle-aged people identify with that? Okay, 2024, people are saying. It was 2019 that I heard from a friend of mine who was friends with his sister, Val, that the family was very upset because Joe has dementia and he's running for president. And, well, I said this on TV, by the way, at the time, and was denounced as a racist or something. I mean, everything, in the United States, like, that's just like the all-purpose term for shut up. Racist! It's like, I think he's white. Shut up, racist! Okay, anyway, but his sister had told a friend of mine, like an actual friend of mine, one of my neighbors, that the family was upset and that his son, sadly, had passed away. By the way, not in Iraq fighting a war for freedom, but of cancer. I don't think he's aware of that. But sad, and that the family was convinced he needed to kind of get it out of his system by running for president. But of course, no one's going to like make Joe Biden the nominee because we had Pete Buttigieg for that. Who's, now it's a joke, but at the time they were like, people are going to love Pete Buttigieg. He's incompetent, but he's gay. Great. And then people were like, what? No. So they had to go to Joe Biden, and he actually became the nominee and then somehow became the president. But it was obvious the whole time that he had no idea where he was, and that it was cruel, and that his grasping, horrible wife who like poses as a doctor was pushing this so she could go to state dinners. And everyone knew this. Like, there's not one person who didn't know this. And when you travel outside our borders, you know, people are always so nice about other people's countries. Like, they don't attack you to your face. And obviously, I'm the most American person who's ever lived, and I love my country, and I'm going to die there, and would die for it without even thinking. That's how much, and I mean that. So everyone wants to be polite to you about your country. And when, like, if I ever went to New Zealand, I wouldn't mention Jacinda Ardern or what, you know what I mean? That would be rude. I wouldn't say like, oh, that retarded girl with the teeth, is she here? You know, I wouldn't. That would be, no, I wouldn't. Because that's not something a guest says, right? You're in someone else's, you know, you're having dinner at someone's house, and like the food is appalling. Oh, it's so good. You know what I mean? But even given the high standards of politeness offered to foreigners in foreign lands, everywhere I've traveled around the world for the past 4 years, and it's been a lot of countries, people are like, so Joe Biden, how is he? And you're like, well, I think he has dementia. He certainly does. Like, everybody knows, because they have, I can't remember, the internet. And it has video on it, and it takes about 15 seconds to determine the leader of the most powerful country in the world with this mass nuclear arsenal involved in 2 simultaneous wars doesn't know what day it is. And that's really scary. But if you come to the United States and you're in the media envelope, this like fake world created by these disinformation specialists who run our media, that's never mentioned at all. It's like everyone pretend, it would literally be like everyone pretending Jacinda Ardern is like a legitimate person, which they may have done in New Zealand. I wasn't there. You know what I mean? Where people say, oh, that's the prime minister. What? It's ridiculous, actually. But everyone sort of plays along like it's not happening. And the whole Emperor's New Clothes story is based on this phenomenon, which is a very human phenomenon. But for the media today to be like, wow, we just got the diagnosis. This is shocking. He can't run for president. Kind of, either they're really stupid.
They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. It's very simple. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. They want you silent. And I am the only one that can save this nation because you know they're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way, and I will never be moving. On November 5th, 2024, justice will be done. We will take back our country and we will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Great job.
Thank you.